Okay, so a fist fight almost broke out in the Senate in one of the hearings today, and Bernie Sanders ruining all my fun. We had two adult men agreeing to a mutual combat situation, and Bernie Sanders starts yelling like, "You are a United States Senator! Sit down!" And he's yelling at him, and then no kidding, this really happened. I definitely want to talk about it. And then we had probably the more important story is Kevin McCarthy physically attacking a rep who voted against him. This rep, Burchett, says that he was elbowed a straight kidney shot. And Kevin McCarthy is trying to back away. He's like, I was just walking through the hall and I bumped into him. That's all that happened. And these reporters are like, dude, the hallway is massive. How do you accidentally bump into a guy in the hallway? Like, no one believes you. Plus, a reporter from NPR watched it happen. So we definitely got to talk about this. And, I don't know, a bunch of other stories. We got some weird and wild ones. And Wokeness, an account on X, posted a picture of a black Santa Claus in a wheelchair ornament that Target is selling. I did not believe it was real, and I pulled it up on the Target website. So I just got to say, man, Target, I don't know. They can't seem to learn their lesson about just doing this weird stuff. And I guess it's fine. Like, if anybody wants to buy that ornament, I got no beef. It's just Target. I don't know who you're marketing towards. So we'll talk about that. Before we get started, my friends, head over to castbrew.com if you'd like to purchase coffee and have the best cup of coffee you've ever had. Check out our Re-Rise with Roberto Jr. Halloween limited edition. It's we're making fun of our own dead mascot, Roberto Jr. the Rooster, with his zombie chicken foot coming out of the ground. Once these are gone, they will never exist again. So if you want to get them and you want to keep the bag, then I suggest you buy them now. But everyone's favorite, of course, is Rise with Roberto Jr., the original, before good Sir Roberto Jr. passed away. And Appalachian Nights is my favorite. But Stand Your Grounds is good. We got a whole bunch of different stuff. We got K-Cups. We got everything. When you buy Cast Brew, not only are you getting the best cup of coffee you've ever had, but we are also building coffee shops, and all of the professional equipment arrived last week. We're really excited. So things are moving. The renovations are happening. And that's what you are supporting, physical locations where people can hang out. And hopefully in 10 years, there's, hundreds of these all over the country, and we get something rolling with there. But also head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member, and you can check out our latest documentary, Bang, Infringed by Lauren Southern. Really do recommend you check it out. It's about gun rights. If you believe in the right to defend yourself and you believe in the Second Amendment, then become a member, watch the documentary, share it with your friends, share it with people who may not be familiar with gun culture and gun rights. I recommend it. And also, you'll be able to watch the Uncensored Members Only show coming up tonight at 10 p.m. And as a member, you can even submit questions and call in and talk to us and our guests. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Lauren Chen.
Hey. Great to be back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, who are you? What do you do?
So I am Lauren Chen. I am a Blaze TV host as well as TPUSA contributor. And actually, if you guys are subscribed to the Blaze, you'll know that we just put out a really cool documentary about what really happened in Maui regarding the Lahaina fires. So we were on location on Maui, really beautiful place, but it was terrible what happened. We were there with the actual crew that used to work with Tucker Carlson for his Tucker Carlson original series. So they were just total pros. And yeah, it's actually investigative on the ground journalism, which we don't really see the mainstream media do that much anymore. So if you want to check it out, blazetv.com, and you can use the code Lauren Plus to save money on your annual subscription. And I am also just a humble soap merchant as well. If you guys are in the market for any bath or body products and you don't want to support, the woke companies, support small business made in Nashville, Tennessee. You can check it out at etsy.com/shop/clearlypure, spelled CLEARLYPUR. And actually, Ian, this one's for you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I've been salivating. My eyeballs are
body
getting
butters.
wet,
We got beard balms, soaps, tons of gift baskets, and we have a Black Friday sale going on right now. You guys can save money if you use the code Tim10 for orders over 75, Tim20 for orders over 100, and a Tim25 for 25% off orders over 125. So appreciate everyone who's already shopped and left reviews. Means a lot.
Right on. You see what the reason they do the code like that is because then they know how many people from this show are buying the products. Right?
Exactly.
So don't let me down, guys. Come on, you're gonna embarrass me in front of Lauren.
Yeah, you guys all have to get your family's Christmas presents.
Exactly. Black
see,
Friday
clever.
sales, family business, hard to go wrong.
Yeah, don't you want to smell like Lauren Chen? I'm just kidding. I can't say that she personally smells like this. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlaw. I'm a writer for Timcast.com. I'm so happy to be here with you. Yeah. And of course, we have Ian who's checking out all the smells.
I was thinking that Beatles song.
Don't let me down. You know that one that John Lennon is saying, don't let me down. Well, what's the website exactly? Etsy.com/shop.
/clearly pure, CLEARLYPUR. And I apologize that our redirect is not currently working.
Clearly pure. You gave me some of this before, and it was so good. This
I
is here.
appreciate it.
Ian loves soap.
Peppermint. I do. So because it goes
You
right
always
through your
get him
skin, so
We
you
always
want
buy
to
him
treat it
soap.
like eat organic and use organic
Exactly.
soaps.
Natural oils, avocado oil. That's what our soaps are
It's
probably
funny.
made from.
Whenever Allison and I will go out somewhere and there's like some hippie soaps for sale, we'll be like, oh, we'll get that for Ian. And then whenever we tell people like we always buy Ian soap, they give us this look as if the implication is something's wrong with Ian. They're like, no, it's just that he likes
Ian
the hippie
smells
stuff.
wonderful
Because of all
for
the
anyone
soap,
who's
to be
curious.
honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and actually,
thank you to everyone.
my mom makes everything herself, and she knew that last time, like you were a fan, so she gave you like a ton of stuff.
Thank you so much to your
This
mother
whole
as well.
show is a soap ad now.
Now it is.
Soap
Okay, well now
Soap
that
and coffee. What more do you need?
I'm going to tweet
there
out
you
the
go.
link to the store so
that's
people have that.
That's a nice. Thank you.
so now that Hannah Claire and Ian have already introduced themselves.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have this guy named Serge.
Oh, yes. I also should say thank you to giving me the same or a similar basket. I
you're
appreciate it
welcome.
as well. It's always good to see you here, especially someone that's like a fellow Southeast Asian third culture kid, you know. So
Yeah, for sure. We're holding down the fort with Celsius.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, shall we jump to the news?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if this is the most important story, but it's certainly one of the most fun. And Bernie Sanders has to go and spoil everything. When you search for the story about the fist fight that nearly occurred in the Senate in a Senate hearing, most headlines are like Bernie Sanders stops fist fight, and he did. And I am upset with Bernie. Okay, I'm not really, that you shouldn't fight in the Senate, but here's the story: Senator Mullins challenges Teamsters president to fight during committee hearing. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, a Republican, challenged Teamsters President Chen O'Brien to a fight during a Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee hearing on Tuesday. I really would love to get Senator Mullen on the show now because it's just like absolutely epic. And so Sean M. O'Brien has been making fun of Mullins. He tweeted, "Greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made, in reality just a clown and fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me, any place, anytime, cowboy, hashtag little man syndrome." And there's a photo of him standing on a box during a debate or something like this. And you know what? I'm gonna play the video for you guys, and you can listen for yourselves.
Like he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution?
He goes for the wedding ring.
No, sit down. Oh, you're a clown. Sit down. Okay. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down. Okay. Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold it. If we can, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing.
Oh wow!
President
In our
bad,
official
man.
government record. Like,
Okay, but my question is, does this happen more or less often now that there are cameras televising this than in the past?
well, there was that Democrat who just announced he's retiring, and one of his big critiques was that Congress is performative, that everyone's
Yeah.
just looking to have their
Yeah.
viral moment. But what I like about this, and I did confirm this just now, is that Mullins is in fact a former undefeated MMA champion.
No, wait, what?
It's on his official
What?
bio on the Senate. Mark Wayne Mullins is a former undefeated mixed martial arts
Oh my goodness.
MMA fighter with a professional record of 5-0.
Oh,
so I'm
jeez.
just
Wow.
like,
He's ready
He
for
was
this.
inducted into the Oklahoma Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2016. So I'm telling you, this would have been amazing.
Wow, man! I'd like. I would
that
love
dude
to
up.
get him on maybe a Culture War episode.
Yeah, I
And,
like his energy.
You got to get him and the Teamster though.
Yeah.
No, they'll fight.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really a culture war episode. I'm just saying like some sort of Logan Paul boxing match.
Yeah,
Like, I
that's
got-
who needs to reach out to them. Logan Paul,
Exactly.
what are you doing here, team?
I gotta say, let's be real. Okay, here's Mr. O'Brien. This dude would get rocked by Mullins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd get
I'm-
pushed, he'd push him, and then he'd get choked.
No, this guy probably wouldn't last 5 seconds.
He'd probably put him in a choke really fast or like an arm bar or something.
Who's older? I'm assuming he's older.
It
O'Brien.
looks like him, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Like that he's
genetically
older.
He might have an ill-fitting
Look at this
suit
guy's
on
face.
that actually.
Look at this guy. Who's this?
So into it.
Who's this guy? What is this?
I think he's probably an
O'Brien?
O'Brien who was like, "Let's go. This is what I came here for."
I just, you know that meme where it's like the two women are like, oh, and they cover their mouths, and the guy just smiles. Like, yeah. Like I imagine a lot of the guys in there watching this happen started laughing. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
Bernie like really came off as a badass, except if he was bigger and stronger than the other dudes, I would have been like,
No,
that's
he
my
was
president.
He is
No, you
like
may
the
not.
high school teacher coming out into the hallway and being like,
Yeah.
"Everybody go to your rooms. This isn't okay."
He's the one
students are
killing the
taller.
fun.
And I think, Mark Wayne Mullins is interesting to me because he's one of the only tradesmen who has a seat in the Senate, right? And actually, theoretically, Bernie Sanders also lists himself as a former carpenter. And so we have tradesman v. Teamster, which I find interesting.
Look at this.
Do you think that was a planned moment or it's just a moment of passion? Calling
I
him out
think
for
he
the fight?
went in knowing he would threaten to fight him. I just don't
Yeah.
think he was
Yep.
expecting a response of like, "Yes, I will fight you
Like,
right
let's
here
go.
and now."
So here's a tweet from Citizen Free Press Update. Mullen posts a picture with his guns and challenges Teamster boss Sean O'Brien to a fight.
Wonderful.
Duel? Because he says, let's do it any place, anytime. And then he tagged Comfortably Smug in it. Comfortably Smug said, this is an invitation for Senator Mullen to come on Ruthless Podcast. Oh, okay. He's not
threatening to duel him.
Right. Okay. Citizen Free Press is wrong. He's responding to the podcast saying he's going to go on a podcast. Oh, hey, Senator Mullins, we'd love to have you on. We definitely got to talk about this.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
Let's make some noise about the challenge. Do you think that watching dudes fight makes culture become more combative, or is it like an outlet?
Or do you think that we should see people fight because then we know that there are correct times to channel aggression instead of just letting people be weirdly passive aggressive forever until they default into extreme violence?
Right, because we're seeing less violence from our at least elected officials than ever, but at the same time I feel like we're more in terms of rhetoric and division, like we've gone further to the extreme. So maybe we're actually lacking the consequences that comes from this rhetoric that would naturally kind of pull people back. Maybe we do need to see that, oh yeah, words have consequences. You can't just mouth off and expect nothing to happen. Like people eventually will call you out, and some people like Mullins, they might be willing to go to blows.
Yeah, I always heard the big difference between men and women was that women are sort of passive aggressive, they hold grudges forever, but also they are not prone to violence, whereas men, if they have a conflict, ultimately it always could come to like hitting each other, but then at that point you've decided who's sort of in charge,
So you can almost move past it. Yeah.
Right.
Often yelling with like two guy friends will like yell at each other. I don't do it as much anymore, but like growing up, it'd be like, you'd scream it out and then you'd be done and then it'd be totally back to normal the next day.
Yeah, very different from women.
Yeah, women would hold on to that for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
I like
They'd
this guy.
see
It
each other,
says,
but they'd hate each other.
Yeah.
He's the only currently serving senator without at least a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
He's super cool. He also is like an active, I think he, I don't know what the term is, but he like ranches, he raises cows and stuff. Like he
Like a
is an
cowboy?
interesting
He's a
person.
real
He's a
cowboy?
real cowboy MMA fighter. Yeah, I was working on this piece for a long time where I was like stalking all the professional backgrounds of everyone in the Senate, and he's really unique, right? There are senators that literally own MLB teams, and there's
Right.
this guy who has a big family and is actually a tradesman who built his company and then made to U.S. Senate. Like, why don't we have more people like that?
He's super rich. Let's see. It says between November 06 and April 07, Mullen fought in 3 MMA fights, winning all 3. His total fight time was less than 10 minutes, and he fought a total of less than 3 full rounds.
That's the way to win. That's the way to
So
keep
I
winning.
would have him.
dominated
messed
then.
that dude up.
Yeah. Also, he should now fight every other American senator. Yeah. Not the women, but like that would be fascinating, right?
Well, why not? You know, what's gender but a social construct, right?
Yeah, exactly. Instead of this voting for our Speaker of the House, we just have them fight
Like
Mark Wayne
Wakanda,
Mullins.
that's how we should decide political leadership.
Yes.
Yeah, what is it? Patriarchal bloodlines in ritual combat. Mark Wayne Mullen. I want to make sure everybody understands. He did not start the fight. That dude threatened him on Twitter, and then imagine. I mean, dude, you're like, I'm here to do my job, and this guy's posting that he wants to fight me, that he's going to fight me, and then he's going to show up to where I'm working and have to testify before me. I'm going to call him out for it. I respect it.
Yeah.
And I as much as I think all of the men listening are like, "Oh, Bernie, what are you doing?" Okay, Bernie, we are, the responsible portions of the male brain are saying, "I know it was you should stop the fight. Nobody wants to get it." But you know, the more primate part of the brain is screaming, "Bernie, no!"
Yeah, it was. I mean, it would have set a precedent of that fighting in there is okay if they'd fought. But
don't know
I think
if
if
that's the precedent.
they both agreed to it, then why wouldn't we
A
allow
gentleman's duel.
Well,
right?
that's the thing. Mutual combat is legal in a lot of places. I don't know if it's legal in D.C. Let me check, actually. I think in Oregon, mutual combat, there's no crime if two people agree to fight.
Dude, that guy, that bald dude was going to get rocked. He had no idea. He was talking crap.
Dude, that's people that haven't gotten hit or been in a fight before. They're always think they're going to win a situation like that. They think a little bit bigger than them. It's not always how it works, man.
Well, he knew someone would intervene. I just,
for
could you
sure.
imagine this guy waking up in the morning and be like, Bernie Sanders is going to intervene on my behalf so I don't have to fight my
His adrenals
Only it's not Oregon. It was Washington State and Texas have mutual combat laws. Both parties must agree to the fight. It must be in public, and there can be no serious bodily injury to the participants.
But how do they distinguish between that and something like UFC? Because you could do UFC in Las Vegas. I mean, isn't that technically a mutually agreed upon fight?
I think they're called sanctioned fights. Like,
Right.
Could be sanctioned.
Something
Okay.
about that.
Like they get permits for these fights to happen, and everybody knows that. Like, the best MMA fights are after the fight's over. The dudes touch gloves, give a hug, and then go. Like they know that they don't hate each other. They're trying to be the best fighter. That I love watching that. I can't stand the snooty MMA fighters who are like smack talking, and I'm like, I get it. They're trying to like get attention and build ratings or whatever. But I like the fights when a dude loses and the other guy like gives him a fist bump, they shake hands or whatever.
Well, my husband, he's really into UFC. He watches it like basically any Saturday that there's a fight. But he was saying that there's an incentive for them to trash talk and try to make it as toxic as possible because then it draws viewers and then like their bag's bigger and there's just more attention on them.
Exactly. You want people to you want people to hope you lose.
Yeah.
Then more money comes in. Everybody wants to watch because they're looking for the villain, and it's like, whatever.
That happened with that Logan Paul fight recently. Some guy was like talking about his ex-girlfriend or his wife.
Yeah.
I don't even want to propagate the nonsense, but Logan went in there and
it's
decimated the dude.
Yeah.
And then it didn't get as much attention as I would have. I mean, they weren't like top billing or anything.
No.
Now, my friends, while many of you may be sad to hear that the fight didn't actually happen, don't worry, a different fight did. We got this from the New York Post. Rep. Tim Burchett accuses bully Kevin McCarthy of attacking him with, quote, clean shot to the kidneys in Capitol hallway. Yep, this one's hilarious. And as much as they're saying it's a claim and it's alleged, an NPR reporter was standing there recording and tweeted out she saw this happen, that McCarthy came up from behind him and shoved him. And she thought it was a joke. And then a chase ensued where he started yelling at McCarthy. And what Burchett said is that he elbowed him straight in the kidneys. So this Burchett voted against Kevin McCarthy. McCarthy it's a mental breakdown, dude. Matt Gaetz pointed out at our Miami event, this is so amazing, so glorious, that McCarthy gets $1 billion or whatever in money for the RNC and for his campaign and all this stuff. So he has control, but he owes people now. He's got to deliver as Speaker of the House. Now that he's removed, he cannot deliver on those promises, and those IOUs are now basically toilet paper. I can't imagine what it must be like to sell your soul out to what is effectively the mafia, and then only like a month later, be like, I am no longer in the position to pay you back. I don't think the dudes who gave you that money will take that for an answer. And so Kevin McCarthy's probably freaking out and sweating bullets and not too happy with the people who voted against him.
Yeah, but it's also, it's just so corrupt. I mean, this is exactly why we should have term limits, because you're exactly right. That is how DC works, but it shouldn't be. And it's just so toxic.
I don't like the idea of, lately I thought about maybe evolving our House of Representatives into like the entire population so that we all have the opportunity to set
Like
up
direct
bills,
democracy?
write them. No, we still have the Senate. So, and the Republicans they'd still be there. And if the power goes out, we would send them all to the Capitol. So they'd still have their job. They would just be part of the population and like deciding bills and sending them to the Senate. Because it's too easy to bribe those 450 people.
I feel like that would be really hard to get things done. I guess
As
I don't
opposed
totally
to the
understand.
efficiency of DC now.
Right, but at least some stuff does happen. But maybe we just.
But maybe that's exactly why we should do that, because it would
Maybe.
be really hard to get stuff done.
Maybe
we want
It depends
that.
on what you want. Like if
Yeah.
you want to impeach Mayorkas, and we're not doing that anyways, perhaps that system's the same, right? But
Right.
if you want any funding for the border or anything that you do want pushed through Congress, then having a convoluted system might be hard. I don't know.
Well, we've got a video from Kevin McCarthy who's responded, and Citizen Free Press says, Kevin McCarthy sounds like a man who was caught red-handed hitting Tim Burchett. I guess our shoulders hit. I did not run and hit the guy. I did not kidney punch him. Reporter immediately grills McCarthy over his claims. Here we go.
A reporter was interviewing Burchett or something. I guess our shoulders hit because Burchett runs up to me after. I didn't know what he was talking about. Some reporters asked me. I did not run and hit the guy. I did not kidney punch him. I did not shoot anything like that.
You didn't shove him.
No. We're walking through. You were at HC5, right? You guys line up along the way there. It was Bruce Wester and I walking out. He must have been interviewing someone. I didn't know it was him or something. I guess our elbows hit as I walked by. I didn't punch anybody.
Did he run after you?
No. Yeah, well, I guess it happened because when I was walking back further, I don't say somebody was interviewing me or talking to me, and he comes running up like, why did you hit me or something like that? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't even know something transpired.
But reporters and witnesses said it looked like there was plenty of room for you to walk and that you intentionally hit him.
There is, okay, not a place. Show me a reporter who saw that.
Claudia Grisales.
Okay, well, ask Bruce Westerman. No, I did not go up. If I
Listen to that
if I would
guilty
hit
voice.
somebody, they would
Right?
know I
What are you trying to do?
He's trying to like over-justify it. It's like a little
too
kid.
much
You
talking.
hit him so hard in the
Come
kidneys.
on now.
That's what he said.
The bigger the story, the bigger the lie.
That's far from
Yeah, he would have been like, no, I didn't. He kept walking if he didn't.
I didn't try to hit him in the kidneys. I tried to hit him.
Wait, here, listen.
Twice while he was in Congress in the chamber.
When have I pushed him?
Kinzinger said he was in the back railing once and you elbowed him and pushed
You
him.
said
And then
Gates.
Kinzinger.
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know that.
Kinzinger
Whoa,
said
can you rewind that? He thought that they said Matt Gates. He's got Gates on the
All right,
brain.
let's play it.
You pushed him twice while he
He said he was in pain that you hit him so hard in the
come
kidneys.
on now.
That's what he said.
Okay. That's far from
Congressman Kinzinger wrote that you pushed him twice while he was in Congress in the chamber.
When have I pushed him?
Kinzinger said he was in the back railing once and you elbowed him and pushed
You
him.
said
and then
Gates.
No, she didn't.
Kinzinger.
The
I
girl
don't-
behind
I
him
don't know
said
that
Gates.
detail.
Okay.
Congressman Gates, though, is filing or submitting a complaint to the Ethics Committee over
good.
this issue. Do you have any response to Congressman Gates?
No, I think ethics is a good place for Gates to be.
Can I ask
So,
you about
Burchett said that
This
you're
dude's-
the kind of guy, this is his
He's
words,
having a
as a kid,
rough fall.
would throw a rock and then go hide under his mom's skirt. That was his exact words. What's your response?
This is Congress.
Is there bad blood between you and Burchett?
Yes.
None at all after he voted to oust you?
What would you just say about the issue of decorum in Congress? I mean, there was a House Oversight hearing where a member was called a Smurf. You have over in the Senate.
When did that happen?
Today. An oversight.
Someone was called a
Yeah,
Smurf.
James
Homer
Homer
called
Moskowitz.
Moskowitz.
You have Senator Mullins who was like about to fight. I mean,
Oh, this is great.
why do you think things are so tense? Sorry. Why do you think
Well,
things are so tense
I
right
think
now?
members have been.
Wow, yeah.
Should have been like, oh, you elbowed me in the kidney.
He's got Gates on the brain.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Burchett was at a DC Young Republicans event the night before and called Kevin McCarthy bitter. I mean, they know what's happening. This is all of their staffers probably talked about all day.
When she asked him if he had bad blood with that dude, he looked away and looked back at her and said, no. Like, that's a lying. When you look up to the left, that's an indication that you're lying.
But I guess to play devil's advocate, apparently there were reporters around when this happened. Why would he do it in front of a reporter?
Because he has no self-control?
Yeah, he's having a mental breakdown. Dude, before he was even voted in as speaker, he was moving into the speaker's office, and Matt Gaetz called him out for it. This dude was having a temper tantrum the whole time. I have to imagine that when Kevin McCarthy was facing that showdown in the first vote to put him in as speaker, he was probably scared as hell that he was not going to get it. And when he was like, I'm just going to move my stuff in. I'm going to get it. It's going to happen. I'll do what I have to do to get it. And he finally got it. I bet the dude cried. I bet he went home and he was crying like, I'm finally speaker. And then sure enough, like, what is it, like a month or so later, like 2 months later, he's gone. He's got to act as cool and collected as he can. But clearly the dude is unwound. And he's walking down the hallway and this dude voted to oust him. It was 8 Republicans that did it. And he elbows him in the back. A reporter watched it happen. Dude is losing his mind.
Yeah, I can't imagine the stress that this kind of public, life brings to anyone, but it does seem a little weird that you would be like, there's that guy for the first time, I'll hit him. On the other hand, like, maybe that is a sign that, Congress is as unstable as it looks from the outside. I mean, at least Mark Wayne Mullins, formally challenged him to basically a duel, but with your hands, whereas this seems like a cheap shot.
Petty sucker punch type of thing.
Yeah, Mullins confronted the guy who called him out and said he wanted to fight, stands up, and I love when he goes for his wedding ring. He's like, I'm going to take
He left it on. He left it on.
Right, because Bernie was like, sit down. You're a senator.
Think of your wife.
So funny.
This McCarthy guy's had me on edge the entire time, and I kind of kept my mouth shut in the first few months that he was speaker because I wanted the best for the House. But he sounded like Trudeau the whole time. His voice, and he talks like this, and he has the kind of voice, and now his voice is going up and down when he's trying. It's just so pandering, and where's the authority in this voice? He's such like a, I don't know. I don't want to do
Mine is just they go back to the question of decorum, right? And do we need decorum? This is a criticism that gets levied at Trump all the time, that he doesn't have decorum, that he doesn't act presidential. But maybe people don't want that. I mean, I think of the British Parliament, and I don't know that anyone challenged anyone to a fight on the floor of Parliament, but they yell. They're
similar in Australia too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think you need about as much decorum as Bernie Sanders. Like, no, I didn't say that. Like that kind of decorum, like willing to kind of like take off his tie or get his tie undone if he's getting hot, but like not throw cups at people and stuff like that. Like he has a limit to the...
There was some senator, I can't remember who it was, who threw a snowball at someone during a debate on global... I'll find the name.
Was
in
that
a second.
recently?
It was a long time ago because I think I was writing about it. I think it might have been Tester from Alaska. I could be wrong on this. I'll check in a second. But they were having a debate on global warming, and so he went out, scooped up snow, and then like threw it across the chamber at him. Like there have been weird, funny moments, and I guess we weren't allowed to throw snowballs at my school because they could have pebbles in them, and you could hurt someone.
Yeah, same with ours. But I mean, there's a difference between decorum and vitriol, and you could say like, okay, we're going downhill in terms of decorum because we should all be polite and things like that. But in terms of just I mean, we have been accusing each other, congressmen have been accusing each other of things like racism and corruption for a long time. Like, that's not new. So, I mean, either way, these people they're backstabbing each other. They're trying to ruin each other's careers. Is it a big deal that they might... I mean, now it might just be coming to the surface a little bit more. I don't think so. I mean, I think the lack of professionalism, lack of unity was already there. It's just a little bit more apparent now.
The snowball was Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma, which is also where Markwayne Mullins is from. So maybe those Oklahoma boys.
Yeah,
they're pretty metal.
On the Great Plains. Trump, when he said Rosie O'Donnell is a fat pig.
He didn't say that.
Well, how did he say it?
She said, Megyn Kelly asked about how you've insulted women, referring to some as, fat pigs or whatever. And he says, only Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay, and then that means in the past he has called her a fat, or he's acknowledging that he did call her a fat pig in the past.
I don't think I don't think he was implying that he literally said the words fat pig, but that he was implying that he's insulted only Rosie O'Donnell or something like that.
I think
unless he meant literally the only person he's called a fat pig was her.
When it goes too far is when you're in public office and you're using your time publicly to insult people, like with mean, like you dumb idiot, that thing, because then that just wastes time, wastes taxpayer money. I don't want that in my office.
I agree, but personally, I don't think calling someone like a fat cow is any worse than slandering someone as like a white supremacist or a racist or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, one might be construed as like more street and fighting words, but personally, I would rather be called a fat cow than, like an anti-Semite that could actually ruin your career in this day and age. And congressmen have been calling people that for a long time.
And I got to tell you, Ian, the more time they spend insulting each other is less time they spend on giving our money away for BS government projects and war. So I would much prefer it. We talked about this yesterday with war, that I would take the entire war budget and just give it to some random guy, because some random American dude can spend it infinitely better than we waste on all these wars, like 20 years in Afghanistan. But I would rather every single member of Congress engaged in narcissistic mudslinging on the floor if it meant they weren't all in lockstep with funding war and foreign intervention.
That kind of backs up my suggestion that we disperse the House of Representatives. If they're that useless and you'd rather just see them insulting each other, they really have no place in this country. We the people can pass laws and bills into the Senate. We don't need these 450 stopgap bribery vulnerabilities anymore.
I disagree. I think
they can join us in our citizenry.
I think the answer is not to abolish Congress. It's to reform or amend. Like, all these people need to get voted out. We need better rules. Clearly the system is busted.
Mike Gravel had the fourth branch of government he wanted to create called the National Initiative. He was a senator from Alaska, and then it would have created a fourth branch of government that's the people. The people would represent local people to go and act as another form of like a representative of the people themselves instead of...
That feels like it just makes the government bigger.
Yeah, and more bribery, vulnerabilities with these...
It's quite literally more members of Congress.
Either we do it ourselves, and there's 330 million of us, and you can't bribe us all.
No, we need to repeal the 17th Amendment, and we need people to focus on their local politics more, and stop acting like Kevin McCarthy can do anything for you. The dude does not represent any of us in any way. Okay. He represents his district to the federal government. He does not represent you as a person. People think that our federal elected representatives are going to do anything for us at home. And that's what I've long complained about this. You see these congressional ads where they're like, I'm going to clean up this town. No, you're not. You're going to Congress. You're going to DC. You're going to go vote on war and other garbage. If you want to clean up your town, if you want to fix your crime, you got to vote for local reps. And so a lot of and your governors and your state senators and things like that. You want to know why California's all messed up? It's because they vote for these people locally. It's not anything the federal government's doing.
Yeah, they can't read these 3,000-page bills. But if we crowdsource it and we let the entire U.S. population have at it, you better believe there's going to be at least 700 people that are going to go read those 3,000 pages.
They do. They do this.
Yeah, but then these are the people that we need, like, pushing the bills.
No, this was once called. The issue is that members of Congress should have to read the bills before they vote on them,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't do it. We should make it. What was your idea? You make it a felony to vote on a bill that you have not read?
Yeah, you have to swear under oath that you've read the bill if you're going to vote on it.
Agreed.
I would support that.
Agreed.
100%. I don't know what the argument against that would be.
They're corrupt and they want to sell out their positions to lobbyists.
Right. I mean, but the position that they could defend publicly for having that be
like
a
the
rule.
spin. I'm trying to think about it. Like, I mean, I think what they would say, and I don't believe this, but the counterpoint would probably be, it would be impossible for us to produce effective legislation that wasn't lengthy, and so actually you're making it impossible for us to get to they'd make like you're slowing us down argument, but maybe that's the point.
That's the point.
Yeah, and that's why we want to get rid of omnibus bills, like what Matt Gaetz is doing.
Yeah, like with spending bills, you used to actually have to have different ones, and that was a lot more efficient because you could actually know where the money was going. But they want the big bills so they can all slip their pork in there, and lobbyists can be like, haha, like a little nut for me here, little presents. And then I don't know if you guys follow Rand Paul, like every year he exposes how much money is spent on useless things like giving birds cocaine and studying that or whatever it is. But no, it's crazy, and it's literally, I would say, criminal how much they steal from taxpayers on useless things.
He calls that the Festivus, his Festivus recount or something like that.
Festivus.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to play this video for you of Nikki Haley and explain to you why it is that you must vote for Donald Trump and why it is this woman should never be allowed anywhere near the seats of power. Reclaim the Net says Nikki Haley says if she's made president, every social media user will be verified by their name for national security purposes. And we'll play that video for you.
When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing.
Okay, that I like, but carry on.
The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say.
Accountability.
And they know their pastor and their family member is going to see it. It's going to help our kids, and it's going to help our country.
Okay, so the funny thing about that is she's completely wrong. This country is built on anonymous pamphleting and writing, and Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and many others. So what she's doing is she's taking things that Elon Musk has pointed out, which are good ideas, the option to be verified and the choice to interact with those who are, and turning it into the government will force you to do it.
And then she immediately goes, first of all, she's like, everyone needs to have their name attached to their social security or to their social networking. First of all, it's a national security threat. Like, yeah, that would be a national security threat if you forced everyone to put their name on their social media.
No, but you get the point. Is
but she inverted it. She didn't mean it to sound like that.
The reason she's calling it a national security threat that is anonymous accounts is because that is their hard, you can't stop us, we don't need a vote justification. We are going to send a national security letter to X and force them to do it, to Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to make you do it.
The purpose of Minds, one of the main tenets of Minds is that anonymous social networking is a human right. In my opinion, I don't know if Bill's actually come out and literally said that. Social media company I founded in 2011 with Bill Ottman. You have to be able to. I didn't think about it so deeply before, but it's exactly like you said, man. Silence Dogood was Benjamin Franklin's first pen name. He couldn't get published in his brother's paper when he was like 14, so he made some fake middle-aged lady, and then he started getting published. And then, of course, Poor Richard's Almanac. He was a guy named Poor Richard, and he would seed like revolutionary content into the populace because he always, his whole life, he probably wanted to revolt against the king, but he wasn't able. If he said out loud, they would have cut his head off. So he had to use a pen name. And if the same thing in modern day, if it becomes tyrannical,
Well,
we have no
especially
choice.
when there are people who feel like their anonymity allows them to operate in society because their views are not permitted. I mean, to confront, you'd have to start really unpacking what hate speech is in America if you really wanted to take away anonymous speech online and where the boundaries of free speech are. And that's what I think, I'm not totally against her justification of like, if you had to put your name by everything you said, maybe you would operate differently. Maybe that's good. But there are people who write, under pen names because they fear that they'll be targeted by a progressive attorney general who might go after their job or whatever else because they believe something that's not popular. It starts to be this thing where like, I just wonder what box we're opening, and I'm not against the idea of accountability online, but at what cost and what are we protecting?
And it's kind of ironic because Nikki Haley rails against China, just one of the many countries she probably wants to go to war with. But at the same time, I mean, this is the exact same type of police state that China is rightfully criticized for. So this is something that she wants to introduce. I mean, it's like she is on the wrong side of basically every single issue, which is almost impressive. She's like impressive batting average for just like the George Bush Republicans who basically killed the party for an entire generation.
We should just make it so that in order to pass a bill, the person who is proposing it has to enter legislation by combat. So
you have to literally force
Mark
the bill
Wayne
through.
Mullins is getting all this stuff through.
you've got to carry the bill passed through the gauntlet
bunch
of
of
Congress.
gladiators, yeah.
Yeah, and then the congressmen, they'll have paddles and they
That
whack you
would
in the butt.
unironically enter in a new golden age for America. Have you guys seen all those studies where they look at how high testosterone and like gym attendance correlates with right-wing views?
We studied this on
yeah.
Ian.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Within,
they should
within
definitely
24
do it.
hours, you'll feel the right wing seeping into you.
Right.
You start to work out.
Ian lifted the barbell one time and then dropped it and then started praying.
I become happy with myself when I'm physically healthy. And
you
that's part of
operate
like,
that.
maybe I want to conserve my life and my surroundings because I appreciate them more when I'm physically
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think it does give you it gives you a sense of value and purpose, which changes how you approach the world, which is very interesting. I guess what also
That would
stood
also
out
get rid of all the octogenarians that we have in Congress as well.
True.
Yeah, true.
They couldn't keep up.
There'd have to be age categories. It's like 72 to 78.
No, they all fight.
No, they all-
Mark Wayne Mullins. I guess the other thing.
fight Mullins.
That'd be so funny. The other thing that stood out to me is that she said this is the first thing I do in office, and I guess my question to you guys would be, what would you want whoever gets elected to do? What should be the first thing they do when they get to office?
And
Firing people.
That's a great
Yes.
question. Something secretive that is big and changes a lot of stuff. But what she said about making all these social networks free their code, I don't agree with anymore. I think we start with TikTok because it's a foreign company and proof of concept. If they want to operate on U.S. shore, they have to free their software code, their algorithms. And then if that turns out that it's really great for society, then we can use that as a casus belli to cause Meta to open up their code.
Yeah, let me tell you. So we have social media people who work here at Timcast, and we have the semi-unwritten rules of various social media platforms when posting. And TikTok is the most insanely restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely insane. So YouTube, surprisingly, the least. I should pause. Rumble is the least. X and Rumble are like, basically anything goes. Just you're good to go. And we love that. YouTube is actually one of the least restrictive, though they are fairly restrictive.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I mean, I've got the Blaze's YouTube channel suspended for an entire week because I'm not gonna say what I said about the Elliot page. I'll actually use the name, so I don't want to get your page suspended either. But yeah, that happened on YouTube, but it was for something that, I mean, I feel like YouTube's more selective about than something like Facebook, which
YouTube actually does in some circumstances look at context. Facebook absolutely does not. And I'm not trying to defend YouTube. I think YouTube censorship is a problem, but Facebook is insanely bad. And TikTok is substantially worse.
It feels like Facebook relies a lot more on AI than Alphabet.
And there's like no legitimate appeals process. It takes forever. Whereas with YouTube, we actually have like reps we can contact at a certain level on YouTube. There's people who will work with you. Facebook doesn't care.
Yeah, they don't want you to appeal because they've made a decision.
And it's crazy. Like my channel, my page on Facebook got demonetized once for lies. An organization claimed that one of my videos was fake news, and so it triggered a hard demonetization. And my video that I put up was 100% factually correct. I reached out to the organization and I said, my video is correct. And they said, no, it's not. Here's your headline. And I said, the headline's a question, and the first sentence of the video is rejecting the claims made by people who are asserting this. And they were like, oh, we didn't actually watch it. So a third party flagged me to Facebook and got my money turned off. That's insane. That's what Facebook does. It's not even about their internal teams. It's about them letting leftist progressive activists and government agents. And I got to wonder, with this election integrity partnership stuff going on, I'm wondering if, maybe we should reach out to members of Congress who are working on this and the people we know who are working on it and ask them about what Facebook is doing with the Poynter Institute and the power they give to third parties to remove content they don't like.
But see, that's why the left always wins, and they're going to keep winning. I work with a ton of right-wing conservative nonprofits. I mean, people like TPUSA. We would never think, hang on, there's this huge company that has control of information. I should petition them so that I'm in charge of what people are allowed to post. Like, that would never enter into like 99% of conservatives' minds. The left not only think this, but they actually put it into action, and they insert themselves into roles of power very effectively.
Unless the subject is Israel.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden it's like everybody's just like then
it's like the mega Karens.
Yeah, right. Then it's just, I don't know what's going on.
That's the fascist bent in people when they're like, we got to use the private companies to control society.
Right.
And they'll use it through legislation or through funding through legislation. Yeah, I don't like when that happens. I kind of want to answer your question about what I would do if I became President Roe, but I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Do you guys, what would you do?
Well, I like this tweet that Vivek put out the other day. I don't know if he said it would be day one, but I think it should be day one. Immediately fire half of the DC bureaucrats or the civil servants.
Or just, transfer them.
I'm good with firing them. I think like if automatically there's half of them. I mean, obviously we could talk about like the economic implications of that many people being out of a job. But if it's like if the federal government is so huge where we actually need to talk about the economic consequences of that many civil servants losing their jobs, then that's a problem in and of itself.
He was saying layoffs because that bypasses the restrictions. You can lay them off for budgetary reasons.
Right.
And yes, absolutely. And I would hope that Vivek, to the extent it is legally, humanly, and economically possible, maximizes those layoffs. There's no, you know what it is? So we were talking last night about schools, and I was saying like abolish the DOE and get rid of this broken system. We had Aaron Mate on, and he was arguing that I'm an exception to the rule. I'm successful. Not everyone can do that. And my argument is, if you think that there is no way to replicate in, my success in other people, then what's the point of school? Right. If school can't create a path towards success for people then what's the point of doing it? And his attitude was basically, there's a lot of good teachers who are in these schools, and this is my point. The government funds a project, hires a bunch of people, and then says, okay, this doesn't work, but we can't stop it now because we're addicted to it. We are economically addicted to this industry. If we stop funding schools, we're going to have hundreds of thousands of people out of work. We can't have it. The economy would collapse.
Also because we didn't allow for any competition. I mean, there are private schools, there are homeschools, things like that. But obviously, predominantly, most people's money are tied up in their taxes, which then go to their public schools. So they rely on them. I mean, education in America is ultimately a failing business. So it should close. But it's falsely kept alive.
And what Ron Paul said, and it was funny because when we had Ron on the show, I mentioned this to him and he was like, did I say that? He said of the war in, I think it was Afghanistan, they're saying we can't just withdraw because it will cause a bunch of problems. But as a doctor, I know if you prescribe the wrong medication and it is causing problems, you stop the medication. There's no excuse for saying we have to just keep doing it. We are addicted to these government programs. And the fear is, but if we terminate, we're going to lose all these jobs. Don't know. Don't care.
That was
And especially with education, we can see the outcomes, right? Test scores are going down. I mean, some of the places that have the highest per student funding have the worst results. And I'm someone who's very pro homeschooling, and the response is always like, oh, your kids aren't going to be able to read. You're not qualified. It's like, I mean, we see what the actual results are from kids who are in public schools that are failing them. It's really hard for it to be worse. Actual Justice Warrior Sean, he did a video where I think places in Baltimore, like there's a lot of schools where literally 0%.
Well,
proficiency.
Oregon just did away with their graduation requirements, and they're saying there are learning losses because of COVID, but also that means your system is pretty weak. That 3 years could. I mean, students really suffered during COVID for a lot of reasons, but it also means that there was absolutely no effectiveness in online schooling or anything else. The teachers that were tasked with having to educate kids remotely couldn't do it. This means that our system is not adaptable. This is not proof that you guys are successful. And I think to Tim's medicine metaphor,
Ron Paul.
Yeah. you know,
works
if they're
too.
saying this is the thing you take to fix it, you go to public school. The thing is, doctors will then say, oh, you're having side effects from the medication I gave you. Instead of stopping it, they'll say, take 5 others, take this other one, take this other one, which is why, you know, we get universal preschool and we get all these other programs that the government is saying we're not effective, but we're going to continue to fund ourselves until we figure out a way to keep this failing system up. And that's a disservice to students and their parents. If you gave them, I mean, this is why I love school choice. If you gave them the opportunity to spend their monies in a way that better suited their children's needs, because there's no way bureaucrats in Washington know children better than their own parents, they would probably be more effective.
Well, that's the problem, though. The Department of Education and the public school system, it exists to benefit teachers, to benefit administrators. It's not actually to the benefit of the students, and definitely not the benefit of the parents.
I think one of the things you said, Hannah Claire, exactly that is pretty profound is that the problem that the school, the education system, the Department of Education is that they have a monopoly. There's no real viable option if it does shut down. Like there's not another system where people can just go get jobs there and bring their kids over there, and there should be, because the government monopolies are just as dangerous as private sector monopolies.
This is what I saw in Venezuela. When you went to go buy a cell phone, there were like 6 to 8 stations. I go to T-Mobile in the United States. I walk in, there's a guy, and he's like, how can I help you? I said, I want a phone. He's like, okay. He gets his tablet out, and he's like, which phone do you want? He starts typing it all in. Here's your number, and okay, it's going to cost this. So I swipe the card, and it's kind of annoying, and then you're done. In Venezuela, they had to create fake jobs for the sake of propping up their fake economy, which didn't work, obviously. So they're mandated to have a person who gets the phone, a person who asks you what kind of phone you want, a person who deals with your phone plan, a person who takes the money, a person who writes down the bill. Like you walk in, they say, how can I help you? I would like to buy a new phone. Okay, let me fill out this form for you. Here you go. And go wait in that line. Then you go wait in another line. There's another person there. And which phone would you like to buy? Okay, fill out this form and then go wait over here. Then a guy takes the form from you. Then he says, okay, now go wait over there. Then so it's insane. That's what we're doing right now in this country. And I think you made a good point. I think you brought this up, that the government created a monopoly on schools by mass funding it. This is what happens when the government guarantees the income. It's almost impossible to compete. But then you'll see things like FedEx, UPS, and the Postal Service. Clearly, people don't like using the Postal Service for whatever reason.
Right. And you get private schools, you get homeschools, you get co-ops. People do have innovation, especially when they see that the system is broken. But it makes me wonder, you'll have teachers who are promised if you work in a public school for X number of years, we'll pay off your student loan debt, which we have also given you because we're the government and we're trying to help you. And I would wonder if it would be more interesting to see those people go off and start, Montessori schools in more places or explore, different opportunities with the degree that they have. I think good teachers are really valuable. It's not to shame all of them, but the government just wants you to stay in its broken system, and it's willing to take you down with it if you're a teacher.
And I think you're right. A good teacher, a competent teacher is going to flourish even without the public school and the teachers union safety net. And we see that with charter schools and private schools. And there are even, I guess, industrious teachers who are creating their own homeschool curriculums that could be applied to different homeschool pods. Like there's a desperate need for teachers who are competent, but I don't think we do those teachers any service by subsidizing the incompetent ones.
And the government doesn't reward teachers' entrepreneurship.
Right.
It just beats them back into submission as much as it can until they, eventually establish something, which is not good.
I want to jump to this story. It's a tweet from the account End Wokeness. End Wokeness tweets, Target outdid itself this year for Christmas. And the first image I've seen before. It is what I would describe as gay nutcrackers. Okay, I'm not. That is not meant to be derisive. That is quite literally what it is. It is a nutcracker, which many are familiar with, but it's blue, holding a pride flag with a rainbow hat. And then there's a very happy, I guess, Yeti and unicorn. And then there's this image, which depicts a series of white and black Santa Clauses in wheelchairs holding presents. Now, okay, when I saw this, I thought this is fake, okay? It was like, I think Shoe on Head made a video 10 years ago, a joke about how diversity is going to result in a trans, non-binary, person of color in a wheelchair. Like that was a joke she made. And now I'm seeing this image. And so I said, I don't know about this. And so I Googled it. Ladies and gentlemen, you can order your Santa in a wheelchair holding gift fabric, and they have the options of in black or white. And now look.
And it's already on sale.
How much is it? I can't see.
It $2
with like $7 shipping or something. Let's find out.
$7. I almost want to buy a whole bunch of them, but I also kind of don't.
Just give them away
because
our company Christmas present.
No, because I don't want to support it. But
yeah,
look, if I was going to buy it, it would be like a novelty gag gift, making fun of wokeness.
Yeah,
they're selling them legitimately. And it's kind of it's look, if you are a otherly abled person of color and you would like to purchase the Santa Claus, then I'm glad the option exists for you. I have no problem with the free market providing. If there are people who have this lived experience and they would like to be represented on a Christmas tree, then the market shall provide. But Target, as a massive, I believe they're multinational, but a massive national corporation. I know Australia's got a fake version that they stole from us.
Yeah.
But who are they really selling to? The answer is very obvious. White liberal women. That's who wants to buy this.
Who want to show their children, look, anyone can be anything at any time.
It's what they call impact. It's like impact investment, but this is like the refuse tunnel of the impact investment. It's impact sales. They're putting it out in the open for people to see what they want them to think about, and they don't even care if these things don't sell. Probably.
But then you'll get
this is so wrong. I'm sorry. This is so wrong. People are saying it's black paraplegic Santa, and I'm like, this is insulting to people. Okay, they have turned them into a joke.
And I thought the best question of the night was Lauren, who asked, "How's he going to get his wheelchair down the chimney?"
Right,
This doesn't make any sense.
I thought somebody was making fun of Target, making fun of wokeness.
And then I was like,
it's real.
We need to put those ramps, but for Christmas, everyone needs to get a ramp on their front door. Otherwise, you're discriminating against the fake thing that's a fake version of a guy that's fake.
No, you need a ramp up to your roof.
Yep.
It's your chimney.
But I mean, the question is like, who specifically is aside from like white liberal women, but it's like a very specific group of people
college professors,
who
maybe little
celebrate
kids?
Christmas, but also really want to indulge in the wokeness, which I feel like is
Also,
so weird,
are we sort of expecting a lot of, paraplegic people to suddenly appear on Earth? Like, why do we need so many of them? This could have been one Etsy business that did really well. But instead, Target is like, everyone knows someone in a wheelchair, which feels more like disturbing to me on some level.
But that's the thing, like with all this woke stuff, whether it's pandering to women or to black people in wheelchairs who aspire to be Santa, it's not actually about the group they're representing. It's about the activists who see it as a virtue signal.
Yeah, I remember as a kid being told that I could be Santa, but it's just a weird thing. Like, you have to, he has to be just like me, he has to be in a wheelchair too. It's like, well, you think he'd be better at flying around the world if he didn't have a wheelchair.
It's about that time of year. Should we have the Santa debate?
The Santa debate?
Santa.
Should Santa retire because he's in a wheelchair now?
No. Listen. Okay, Ian, I know where you're going with this. Do we tell kids if Santa's real?
That's what I'm talking about.
And I think
every year
there's a bigger question now on top of this. I don't know that we can answer that question until we answer the question of how do you explain to children that there is black paraplegic Santa and white cis heteronormative Santa?
No, I'm telling my kids the only Santa is black and in a wheelchair.
No, I'm going to take the FDR approach. We're going to hide the wheelchair. We're going to just like cover it up constantly.
The scandal was that Santa was always in a wheelchair.
They're regrowing
Why do you think he
spines in
sits
Rice
when you
University.
take photos with people?
Now, hold on. I'll hold on there. Where's black Santa with a cochlear implant?
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
He could be wearing him. He's got thick hair. We don't know. We can't see.
Perhaps where's trans Santa?
Yeah,
he's coming soon. And that's the horror. That's the horror of the season now, which is like, what are they going to do to poor Santa who can't defend himself?
Okay, so the Marvels just came out, right?
Yeah.
And it bombed. It's the worst MCU opening in the Marvel franchise history. And it's because people just don't care for these woke, bad storylines where they just ham-fist in politics. And when people started complaining back in the day about how they like made Anne Boleyn's played like a black woman. And people are like, yo, I don't care about black actors getting lead roles. I care that you're taking historical figures and characters and changing their race, like The Little Mermaid. South Park made a really great point about this in the latest show they did, the Panderverse, the special, where PC Principal is yelling at the kids saying, you just don't like black people. And they're like, no, we don't like that you take an existing character and turn it into a black woman. They were like, Miles Morales is awesome. He's his own character and has like an alternate history storyline they gave him, which we understand. Like people, like there's a lot of superheroes that have same superpowers as other superheroes. This is gone one step beyond, and they're now taking it's religious and traditional figures and now race swapping them. And like, look, I know we've seen this because 10 years ago, there was an argument on Tumblr whether or not Beethoven was black. And this is...
What?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, is he?
No.
Was he?
Tumblr was ahead of its time.
No, of course not.
This is what they tried doing. They tried claiming that Samus Aran, the game character, was trans. So for those that aren't familiar, Samus Aran is the star of the video game Metroid, the Metroid series. And at the end of the NES game, if you like beat it in the right way or whatever for the credits, it shows the character take the helmet off, and it's like it's like 8-bit or whatever, but there's long blonde hair, like, aha, you played a woman this whole time. And it was like, oh, how
and
about
if you
that?
type in Justin Bailey as your password, you can play as the woman.
Oh, Zero Suit
And
Samus?
you get the wave gun automatically. Yeah, you start with it.
In the first one, NES?
Yeah, in Metroid, in the first Metroid. Justin Bailey.
NES?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
It's cool.
And so what happens then is a bunch of trans activists started arguing, well, Samus Aran is 6'3" and, like 180 pounds. Therefore, that proves Samus was actually trans. And they tried doing these things. All they're trying to do is rewrite cultural history and take it over. That's part of what is happening right now with Target making black paraplegic Santa.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So-
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
You go first.
Well, I was going to say, too, this is a tangent at this point, but to Ian's question about the whole Santa debate, I'm actually very anti-Santa because Santa is not St. Nicholas is a religious figure, but Santa, the modern iteration of Santa, is basically just a way to shove consumerism down our throats by people who are not Christians, who are secularists, and who only want to make money. Do you think the people who had designed that Santa are Christians who celebrate Christmas?
Nope.
Do you think all of the people, also I'm very against Santa movies. Have you noticed that nowadays a Christmas movie, it's all about Santa and gifts and a secular message. It's a way to undermine
Not on the Hallmark
Christian-
Channel. The Hallmark Channel, it's about everyone ending up together, getting married.
It undermined the family unit for me because it made me distrust my parents. Not only did they lie to me for 10 years, and then I found out, I was like, what else are they lying to me about? It was terrible. I didn't appreciate them every year around Christmas when they would be the ones that would bring me the gifts. It should have been a bonding experience for the family. And that's this Soviet communist consumer crap, splitting up the nuclear family yet again with now your parent can't be the hero this year.
I think there are really interesting ways to talk about Santa because I like the folklore aspect of it. I think it's fun to have imaginative opportunities for kids. I wouldn't necessarily introduce this to your kids, but David Sedaris is the short story author who has a really funny essay about at dinner parties, he'll ask people as an icebreaker, and what does your country tell you about Santa? And it changes. And if you haven't heard it, you should definitely look it up. It's really funny. I think it is interesting that I grew up with the Rupert books, which are a British children's series, and Santa lives on a cloud. And in America, we learn he lives in the North Pole. There are ways to talk about this in an interesting way. It's just sad that America's Santa now is disabled. I care less about the skin color so much as what is he doing? How is he getting in his sled? Do we have ADA accommodations at the North Pole? You know what I mean? It introduces a level of bureaucracy to this kind of mystical story that other lots of cultures tell, and it makes us seem lame, I will say.
The best is the Tibetan myth of Santa Claus, where they would every winter their yurts would get covered up to the chimney and they'd have to climb out the chimney and go to the pine trees, and they'd find these mushrooms growing, these white and red Amanita muscaria, and the reindeer would be eating them, and they'd go and they'd collect the mushrooms, they'd come back, they'd climb down the chimney and then hang the mushrooms up in socks above the fire to dry overnight. What? And then the next morning they'd boil them and make tea with them.
Yep. Every culture has various versions.
Check out the myth of psychedelic Santa. It's crazy. It's all the color is the same. It's the red and white myth. Sorry to interrupt.
From what I understand, the Orthodox Church, they have the Feast of St. Nicholas that they actually take pretty seriously. So when I say I'm anti-Santa, I'm not anti that, but I don't support...
Lauren Chen personally hates Santa.
Yeah, I don't support modern consumerists, especially black wheelchair Santa.
Who is St. Nicholas? What do you do?
You know what? That is a good...
What is...
St. Nicholas was I don't know exactly where it was. Somewhere in Eastern Europe is what they think. Somewhere like Turkey. People have said the actual story comes from. You're right about the Amanita muscaria stuff. From what I've heard about that as well, regarding the color, the red and white and everything like that. But apparently it had to do with he was a dude that went around and helped some girl get a dowry to get married, I think, initially. And then that became
Santa supports marriage. He's so trad. This is the best thing I've ever heard.
Hold on.
I ship this Santa.
I'm wondering what the lore is as to how Santa became paraplegic.
I don't
the
know.
implication.
Fell down a chimney?
Well, if
Rudolph's
he is...
nose didn't go off and he got bucked out of the sled.
That's what I say.
nasty.
This is insulting to people. The implication is that Santa had some kind of terrible accident.
Or he's faking
it's
it.
rough. Or he's just getting older.
To get tips at the mall.
Maybe. I was going to go with he's getting older. He's got some arthritis in his knees from climbing up and down the chimney. So maybe it's time to retire Santa, and then they'll introduce Mrs. Claus or just call her Santette or something.
I'm gonna
It'll be
go
awful.
with,
They'll wreck this.
I'm going to go with Santa did a 720 on the mega ramp, and then when he was going up for a varial 540, he clipped the coping and flipped forward, shattering his ankles.
Oh, jeez.
And so it's not a permanent thing, and it's not he's not a paraplegic. It's just that He's got serious leg damage because he was in the X Games last year.
He's in Mexico
This
right
year,
now.
he
getting
needs a
stem
wheelchair.
cell.
I like that. That makes it sound tougher. I like that version of American Santa.
How about Santa got shot down flying over Eastern Europe?
That's more aligned. I thought you were going to say Santa did 9/11.
Are you going to blame Putin for Santa's wheelchair injury? That's rude.
I mean, you could like merge all of the current things,
Yes.
right? Black
Yeah.
trans Santa is only disabled because of
It was
Putin's
actually
Ukraine war effort.
Vladimir Putin ordered Santa be shot down.
Right.
And that's why we have to send money to Ukraine.
Could be a rally
But,
around the flag.
That's what
That finally makes sense
He
to
hates
me.
Christmas.
Well, hold on. This is what we thought at first. But new intelligence suggests it was Hamas that actually
Hamas
shot.
killed
So
Christmas.
now we've got to provide funding for Israel.
Did you guys grow up with the Christmas movie Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer?
Of course.
It's like, you guys need to watch it immediately. I can't wait for the Christmas season.
Yeah, like Santa killed a lady, right?
What?
Well,
Grandma
she's
got
like,
run over by a
then
reindeer.
she's like in a hospital being taken care of by elves. Don't spoil it for people. You guys get to watch it this holiday.
Santa killed a guy.
This Christmas season, you should check it out. But it'll be like that, except it'll be like Who Shot Santa Claus? You know?
You never heard the song "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer"?
I've heard that song
No.
before.
It's like, and then they made a movie. I guess I don't know which came first.
Yeah,
I
it's
only knew the
1979
movie first.
The song is by Elmo and Patsy from 1979.
Yeah, the gag is that you can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe.
Yeah. Grandma
'Cause,
got run over by a reindeer walking home from my house Christmas Eve. It's a classic Christmas tale.
Yeah, I thought everybody knew that one.
You know, put a little Christmas cheer into this conversation. They figured out at Rice University how to weave carbon nanothreads through broken, severed spine. And then the spine finds itself and regrows back together. And they've got mice with completely severed spines that are able to walk again.
So what you're saying is Santa may walk again.
Yeah.
Tim,
Well,
would you rather have a Target insemination kit or a Target paraplegic Black Santa for Christmas? I'm just wondering.
I would love to just here's the problem. I would love to buy 1,000 of the black paraplegic Santas to give as gifts, but to make fun of Target and wokeness. And the problem is I don't want to give money to people who are serious.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if it was like the End Wokeness account announced they were selling these things as jokes, I'd buy a bunch of them and give them out to people. But the fact that Target is legitimately selling these things makes me be like, well, I don't want to give them money now.
What if you bought it on Etsy? You pick up some of
This is-
Lauren's
wait.
soap and then some paraplegic
Hold on.
Santas.
I figured it out. Target's trying to play both sides. They know that people who think it's hilarious will buy it to make fun of them, and they're going to make money either way.
People who genuinely support it will also buy it.
That's
Target
right.
is ultimately on its own side with capitalism.
Yeah. The market shall provide. There is a market for us to buy Black Paraplegic Santa because it's a mockery of woke ideology, and we think it's funny.
I would just really like to see photos from, like probably December 24th, maybe, into January of people in their clearance section at Target and see how much these are selling for then.
Well, is it
That's where all their best
Costco
progressive stuff goes.
Or Lowe's where they actually have the black blow up Santas?
No, how big?
They're like the big ones that you put on the
I'm
front
gonna look this
yard.
Oh, wow.
I forget where we were last year, but I saw those and I was like, all right.
I like
Are
the
they the
pictures
ones
of
with the
Japanese
arms?
Jesus.
No.
The wacky waving
Yeah.
inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Yeah.
Well,
Black Jesus you
okay.
like?
No, the
They do have a dancing 58-inch African American dancing Santa at Lowe's.
dancing
Dancing
Santa.
I bet the dancing is
man.
good.
He's $200.
I will buy both.
He's animatronic, not inflatable. But maybe that's.
Oh.
But maybe they have
Animatronic?
more.
That's
Maybe they have all
illegal.
kinds of stuff.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's not yet Christmas. Thanksgiving is in a week. Very excited
sure
for this.
is.
And I do have a Christmas present for all of you. This is from the Post Millennial. Republican wins Loudoun County Commonwealth attorney race against Soros-funded incumbent after infamous gender-neutral school bathroom rape scandal. Now, that headline is a mouthful. Holy crap. Loudoun County is across the street from us. Technically, it's the
river.
Yeah, it's across the river from us. I say across the street, but
It's down the street.
it's down. I mean, technically, it's right over the hill, so
Yeah.
it's right there. But so we actually know a lot of people who are involved with what's going on, and it's a very mixed left and right county. But seeing this is actually tremendous. It's not the first time we've seen Soros DAs get basically fired, and it's all around good news. I think we look at stuff like this. We take a look at the Marvels failing. We take a look at Bud Light failing. We take a look at all these things. Y'all, we are winning. The Marvels collapse, hilarious. I love that this movie failed. We are winning the culture war. People are waking up to this. I had the honor and privilege of meeting the mother of one of the students at the Loudoun County High School that was protesting males in the girls' bathroom. And so we had a good conversation about it, and I was excited to meet this person. Her family has been pushing back and speaking up, and I'm like, this is exactly what we need. Now we can see Loudoun County maybe paving the way for pushing the stuff out. What's happening is you've got these urban woke people from DC moving westward into the more rural areas and trying to bring their chaos with them, but the people are starting to resist and push it all back. So as we see all these crazy videos, look at this. We got a bunch of these stories. Here's one. A group of brazen thieves loot Amazon delivery truck as helpless delivery driver looks on. You've all seen this. They're just ransacking it. I don't know where this is, what the location is. I don't know if they say, but the point is we have a bunch of examples of this. Here's one. Firefighters attacked by mob after responding to deadly car crash. Crime is out of control. And I don't know if it's that, a lot of people play these stats games, so they're like, crime's actually on the way down. But that doesn't take into consideration what type of crime they're referring to. And could it be that the reason crime is down is because people are too scared to go outside?
Or because they made it legal, like in San
Exactly.
Francisco,
Right.
where
Exactly.
you can rob $800 and it's not.
That's exactly it. So in San Francisco, where they're like, we're actually seeing crime on the decline.
Or people just stop reporting it because they know it's not going to be taken seriously.
Yep.
Yeah, I think ultimately there is. I like these stories about people winning and doing something because it's so discouraging. When you're in San Francisco and your Target has nothing out because people keep shoplifting, I think it's one of the doors that opens up, well, why don't I just take something? You know what I mean? And we like to see the representation of a community saying, no, these are our values, and you assimilate to them or you don't come here.
That was part of one of the things I like about Ron DeSantis is he stood up and was like, if there are looters, they will be shot. Do not loot. They will issue shooting on command to anyone trying to loot. And it was like right away after a disaster. What was it? A flood or something? A hurricane, I think?
Hurricane.
And no looting.
This is the most important aspect of this. Bill Barrage is notorious in Loudoun County, that's the attorney, for having her office stick convictions for disorderly conduct on Scott Smith, the dad who was arrested for confronting a school board in a June 2021 meeting after his daughter was raped in a high school in a female restroom by a biological male in a skirt. So let me just say, this guy, his daughter is raped and he shows up to school and he's furious. They end up arresting him and this lady has him criminally charged and now she is fired. Feeling good.
I would like to interview the new, who is it? It's a lawyer, the attorney, Commonwealth attorney?
Yeah, Bob Anderson.
Cool. How long is Bob?
Mr. Anderson.
How long is Bob's current term?
I don't know.
Well, that's a good move, Bob. What are you going to do different?
Do you think that this is the kind of thing, though, that, and this is a little bit cynical of me, where people will get excited about this one race and then they'll forget that they have to go out and be active and do it in their communities?
They get complacent.
Yeah.
Well, the point is when, there's two factions on a field, when one side starts breaking and faltering, you don't say, okay, pack it in, guys. You say, charge.
Mm-hmm.
And now it is time to, as the woke lunatics retreat from the hilltop of culture, abandoning movie franchises, abandoning the stories that we know and love, we storm in and plant our flag and replace what they have tried to destroy.
Mm-hmm. This is a legitimate route, cultural route. Sometimes when the enemy breaks, you want to let them flee because you don't want to run into a potential trap, but this is not a potential trap. This is legitimate sea change.
Right,
and I think
because Ian's seen The Patriot with Mel Gibson.
Good movie.
At the end of the fight, when the Cornwallis is like, is that militia making their center? And then they're like, they start running away. And then once they go over the hill, that's the Continental Army waiting to trap them and then unloads on the British.
Yeah,
and, we
Hannibal
win.
did it to the Romans. They call it the hammer and anvil tactic, where you feign a retreat and then they charge it and that's your anvil. And then you come around and flank them from behind as your hammer.
Well, I think this is, if nothing else, proof that focusing on the cultural issues, they actually can change policy and they actually have political consequences. Because I don't know about you folks, but I often see, especially establishment conservatives, Republicans saying, this doesn't matter, like this is just too divisive. We don't want to get stuck in the weeds with this. Well, actually, these are winning issues. We see that. Like parents, go figure, don't want their kids to have to worry about sexual assault in the locker room, right? They actually care about that.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that'll get people out to the polls. And especially like we see how motivated, especially suburban moms are when it comes to the issue of like what's happening in schools. So I think if next year, if Republicans are worried about the suburban mom vote, we actually need to keep hitting this issue. We need to go harder on it and not back away.
I actually feel like one of the ways they could do that is by pushing, like there are a lot of states that have these laws, they'll get marketed or they'll get written about as they're anti-gender affirming and whatever else. But really, if you look at it, a lot of times they are people voting against or judges overturning rules that say you can't tell parents about what's going on with their kids in school.
Right.
And I think even progressive parents would want to know if their children are going by different pronouns. And it starts to be like this unifying issue. Like if a child makes a choice in school like that, any parent would want to know. You can't decide arbitrarily who is dangerous and who is not, and whose kids are secret about this, and you know what I mean. Like there are ways to continue to push this issue. Loudoun County is so unique because they had that specific case, but there are other parents who would get behind. I need to know what's going on with my kids, especially.
You know what I think is going to convince a lot of suburban women to vote for the likes of Donald Trump, or at least someone more right leaning, is in the event that they have male children, explaining to them the late 2010s history of the false accusations, Mattress Girl, all of these stories in the Me Too movement. And when you see this degree of wokeness right now, I think what's worrying for mothers and fathers who have daughters is this story about what happens to this guy. But what's as worrying to a parent who has a male child, right? The destruction of your son's life because woke people can lie about him, accuse him of racism, bigotry, assault, or otherwise, and there will be no due process. There will be no innocent until proven guilty. They will destroy this person's life. These are the things we need to stop.
Due process is legit.
Innocent. And it seems so basic to it, doesn't it?
Until proven guilty.
Well, I definitely support due process, but there's this also interesting tension in a way between due process and freedom of speech. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tommy Robinson, but one of the many legal issues that he's had in the UK was reporting on, I think it was like a grooming gang. Forgive me in the comments if I get this wrong, but reporting on a grooming gang trial. And the UK had it that there was a moratorium in the press because the official reason was that they wanted due process. They didn't want these people's names slandered if they were found innocent. People who are critical of it say actually it's to basically hide the fact that mass migration has led to an increase in sexual assaults. But what do you guys think about kind of that issue? Are we allowed to talk? Does due process after a certain point mean that we need to clamp down on freedom of the press if it means publishing these allegations that are unfounded? Like how do we
have
deal
civil
with
tort
that?
to deal with defamation and libel and these things. The defamation, libel, slander. The problem is Times v. Sullivan, and in many ways, there's pros and there's cons to what's called anti-SLAPP, strategic lawsuits against public participation. Basically, anyone can say whatever they want about anyone else so long as they're all famous, and it's impossible to win a defamation case. Impossible. Unless it falls into what's called defamation per se, where what you've said is so shocking and egregious that damages aren't needed and the defamation in of itself warrants just, pursuit. Like, I guess the issue would be if I claimed Ian kicked a dog, well, I don't know. Did I know it was false is the question in Times v. Sullivan. And if Ian tried to sue me claiming that, it'd get thrown out.
Yeah. What if you claimed that I was running a puppy mill and like slaughtering animals and like not paying my taxes? It'd be like,
I mean, that's actually, I don't even think that would qualify.
Would it be like if you said I was a rapist, then that would be defamation per se?
Yep. Or that you had a contagious disease.
But killing dogs isn't enough?
Nope. Probably not.
Oh, contagious disease is one?
Yeah,
is there like a list of
criminal activity? Yes, there's a list. It's criminal activity, contagious disease, and something so morally shocking and reprehensible or whatever, like calling someone a pedo, is defamation per se.
It's crazy. I tried to do the killing the dogs, but it's just not reprehensible enough, I guess, in this society.
Dark.
Yeah, well, because there are like PETA kills dogs, right?
It's true.
Yes, they do.
Right, and so that's not considered to be so morally outrageous that it would be shocking to people to claim because it's something that happens. Yeah. There are kill shelters. So if you said that Ian was an evil person who was running a puppy mill that kills dogs, they'd say, okay, well, is that an opinion statement about a puppy mill? We don't know if this warrants that a level of going to court over it.
Yeah, I think one of the questions with freedom of the press is, it is accurate to say this person was accused of, this person is standing trial for this. And I understand the sensitivity of the crimes. And
it's an issue if people are evil.
And I think this is what we get from an untrustworthy press, right? The fact that you would present it as like, it's a done deal no matter what. This is definitely, they're not presenting any other sides. They have decided there is a narrative and they're going to follow it through. Even if they might throw the word in allegedly a couple times, it's not honest reporting.
Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, accused of getting into a fight with a male prostitute over a drug deal gone wrong. And of course, people are going to be like, okay, well, hold on. We know that story. That's a big leap. I didn't say it was true. And I didn't say I said it. I said he was accused of it. That's a fact statement. So if I report that Paul Pelosi was accused of getting into a fight with a gay prostitute, then that is a factual fact statement. That is a true statement. He was accused of that by a whole bunch of people on the internet. Doesn't mean it's true. I never said it was true. I said he was accused of it. That's a fact.
And what's really tricky with journalists is that they really only need one person to make that accusation to be able to write that headline.
Exactly.
But realistically, it should be someone in the legal system making a a legitimate, like an official accusation.
No,
which would be a charge.
There are activist attorney generals everywhere who will levy all kinds of stuff against you. I mean, one of the
I'm allowed to accuse Joe Biden of taking bribes. And I think everyone's going to agree, like, yeah, he probably did. There's no official government determination so far. Members of the Republican Party have presented evidence that they say asserts this, but it's not been like adjudicated. I think we're still allowed to come out and say that he is a corrupt MFer who is taking bribes.
When I look at the word accused, the definitions, all the definitions are to charge with a shortcoming, to charge formally, to make a charge of wrong. So if you're not charging them, literally, that means you don't have the legal authority. It's not technically an accusation.
I mean, if someone goes
it
on
also
Twitter,
says to claim that someone has done something wrong.
Yeah, it can get a little vague.
The thing is, if I accuse someone of doing something, or if someone is like charges are brought against someone, theoretically, if you're being ethical, you present evidence that might contradict the point that seems obvious. Like if the government says, you burned down a building, I would potentially say there were other people, and I would get a statement from you. But if you're trying to present information honestly, you're supposed to represent multiple points of views and possibilities. But that's not really how it works anymore.
But that doesn't matter. I mean, the definition of accuse is to claim someone has done something wrong.
Yeah.
That's it.
I guess maybe there could be an official accusation, like a capital A, and that's like when it's a legitimate accusation from like someone with authority, as opposed to all this nonsense being slung on the internet.
The issue is people are evil. Mm-hmm. The issue is, as a culture, we used to have scruples, and people were like, I can't lie in the newspaper. Like, I feel so bad. I'd be scared. Like, well, how could I couldn't get away with that. Now everyone's just like, I don't care what happens to you. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah. And in our defamation cases, the victim has to prove malice, that person acted with the intention of destroying your reputation, which if you were to be like, hey, New York Times, you printed something false about me, and they could be like, whoops, we didn't know, / we didn't do it, / we don't care, then you can't prove
and
malice.
Then what happens
it's extremely difficult.
You go to court and you say they defamed me, and they'll file a motion to dismiss under anti-SLAPP legislation or Times visa, whatever, and the judge has to then agree discovery is warranted. So you have to provide some evidence they may have, like, this is the crazy thing. In order to actually sue, you have actual malice standard in Times v. Sullivan is that the person doing the libel or slander knew what they were saying was false. Which means if someone in the press lies, or here's my favorite, if someone tweets a thing and it was a joke, a news organization can take that, run it as fact, and then say, oh, but we thought it was real.
And how do you prove that they knew that it wasn't like that's a paper trail that will almost never exist?
Internal communications where they're like, well, gee, I know this is not true, but run it anyway, which exactly
it would never exist almost.
Yep. But civil tort, not criminal.
Yeah.
So I guess you get what you get, but I guess going back to the main story,
we got to jujitsu this because false accusations can bring down nations. If like the Soviet Union would go around accusing people, take them away without a trial or any kind of process.
Yes. Well, it reminds me of America today.
Yeah. And it's kind of annoying because technically you're not allowed to like make a false police report or anything like that. But when it comes to like all of these like Me Too cases, or even just the run-of-the-mill a sexual assault allegation that results in a charge where the man is found innocent or not guilty, you would think that if there's a person coming saying that this person like assaulted me and the man is then found not guilty, then that shouldn't all of those cases lead to some sort of investigation into a false police report? But that almost never happens.
Mm-hmm.
Some people suggest that the accuser serves the sentence that the accused would have served if they find out that it was a false accusation.
I definitely think that there should be some sort of legal punishment for trying to ruin someone's life vindictively and weaponizing the legal system.
I think it should be worse. So if somebody's accused, if a guy commits sexual assault and the charge is going to be like 10 years or something, then if it's a false accusation, it should be 15. The reason being, it's one thing for someone to commit a crime and then have the government, the law enforcement, and the court system seek to bring some kind of justice and stop this person as an offender. All of that is legitimate practice. If the person is falsely accusing someone, 2 crimes are being committed. One against law enforcement and the government, and one against the individual who's falsely accused. And so we seek deterrence. We don't want people to try and use law enforcement as a weapon against people through false accusations. So that's an entirely separate crime. So they should serve the sentence of the person of what would have been for the person they accused, and they should get an additional charge over the manipulating and falsifying government, blah, 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 blah.
The only prominent example I can think of someone getting their just desserts for trying to weaponize the legal system is Jussie Smollett.
What happened?
Barely.
I mean, but there was a trial thing. He ended up it was a nothing burger, but still there was at least, when was the last time you remember someone being charged with like lying and leading police on their wild
he's
goose
still
chase.
to this day is maintaining it really happened. He did an interview with was it Charlemagne?
Yeah.
I think it was,
Yeah.
and he was like, "This is what they said," and he was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay."
Yeah,
Like,
but
come
what
on,
else is he
dude.
gonna do? Honestly, he's got to go down with that ship because if he admitted it was wrong, it's almost worse for him.
If he
right?
admitted it right away,
cultist
he'd be
fans.
back by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If right when it went down, he said, "Look, we were trying to bring awareness, and we were trying to, make people."
It's a performance art piece.
No, he could have said, "Me and my friends decided to stage this because we felt like other stories of other victims weren't getting any national attention, and only a celebrity could bring to light the injustices that were happening. I regret what we did. I'm sorry I deceived everybody, and I accept the punishment."
Yeah.
And then he's going to jail or whatever his charges are. I guess that's what he's really scared of. He doesn't want to be a felon. But we are years past this now, and people would be like, "Oh, okay." And seriously, his PR team should have said, "Own it and claim." The issue is, like, here's what if I was a PR guy for Smollett, I'd immediately do a Google search for some kind of racist hate crime. And then I would have Justice Smollett be like, "When I saw this story and that no one cared, I knew the only way to get the attention of the press was for a high profile celebrity to do it. So that's why I decided to stage this event, and I regret it."
Or you could say like, I stage it to bring attention to this case now that.
Oh yeah, now that everyone's talking about it.
This is what you should be talking
exactly.
about now.
I'm coming forward. I'm going ahead and getting in front of it. I want you all to know now. This didn't happen to me, but it did happen to this person.
You know, been
we
way
should
more
have been
based
on
though.
his crisis team.
It would have been way more based if he came out and said, like right away, like, "Yes, I am Justice Smollett. I have staged this hate crime." Why? Every year, over 800 false hate crimes are reported, and people are lying every single day. Then everyone on the right would have been like, "Oh wow, based."
Yeah.
He's really checkmated us here. I don't know what to do with that.
40 chess right
I mean,
there.
one of the complaints that Chicago had was that he wasted resources, right?
Yeah,
So that would
which is
still
legitimate.
follow him, but maybe he would just make a nice donation to cover the cost of his, false allegations. There is a way to spin this. I think part of it is that he liked being, celebrated as this victim, and I think that kind of attention is very hard to develop, especially since I don't think he'll really act again at this point.
Yeah.
I wonder where he is now, especially with the Israel-Palestine stuff, because there are a lot of celebrities that hitch their wagons to the woke left, and now they're regretting it. Could you imagine being Justice Smollett and destroying your entire career over this attempt at like anti-Trump nonsense, only to find out that you're on the wrong side of whatever this is? Like he's in the entertainment industry. A lot of the people who are running it are going to be more pro-Israel, and then all the leftists who would have supported him if his hate crime worked were going to be anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. Yeah. So it's like, good luck, buddy. At least for Ethan Klein, he can get up and leave the room.
Ryan Long did a great skit about that. The actor who's not knowing whether to post pro-Palestine or pro-Israel.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
He's always had a stance.
Look, I said it before, I'll say it again. It must be a horrible way to live to be on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I almost fell into it, man. In LA, I was an actor until I was like 27, and it was just shredding my soul. And then when when YouTube appeared, I was like, I can actually speak my mind, and I can make a career out of it.
The modern version of the left, right? It's really simple for people like me and many others who are like, quote unquote, disaffected liberals or post-liberal or whatever, where it's just like, we maintain our positions and we don't care about what the left wants to do. And so we get excised, we get kicked out. And it's like, whatever, I don't care. Screw you guys. But I have to imagine the people like Ethan Klein who decided, I'm just going to agree with whatever they're saying. That dude must be stressed out for the past month and a half since the Hamas thing happened. And everybody on his show is just screaming in his face and calling him a Zionist pig. He's probably thinking like, it's the end. The right will not have him. He's a shill. He's sold out, and the left hates his guts because he's like, pro-Israel.
And it's not just that he was trying to hitch his wagon to the left. He chose Hassan Piker and to try and leech off. Like, that is not just the left. Like, that is some of the most like radical, like literal communists out there that you
I gotta pull this clip up. Let me see if I can find it.
Have you?
Just because it's from a little while ago, but I think it just needs to be talked about.
I'm endlessly fascinated by these guys.
Let's play this. This is a clip from the Leftovers podcast. Hassan Piker and Ethan Klein. This is a Twitter account. It's just at Dan. I don't know who runs the account. It seems, anonymous, but I'm going to play this clip for you guys.
Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality. Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from the settlers. This is a reality, and that is precisely the reason why they have to exist under endless occupation in the West Bank.
And that's why I say, if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable. Yeah. But let's not obfuscate. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand, and there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlements.
But the babies that killed were not.
I know.
Okay, so
now that we established that. No, hold on. Now
Let me. Can we just? I'll play that one more time for you.
Occupation in the West
You know
Bank.
what? And that's why I say if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable.
He says, Hassan says, Palestinians have a right to violently seize back the land that was taken by settlers. Then Ethan Klein says, yes, if it was settlers, but this guy's saying babies. And Hassan goes, but some of the babies are settlers. Basically saying there is justification for the killing of babies. This is Hassan Piker is pure audience capture. This is what he represents. He says whatever is going to get favor among the people who are chatting to him. And that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
He the left is rather insulting. Like they're rather condescending to him too, but this is abject evil.
Well, I mean,
unquestionably.
To play devil's advocate, we don't know what comes after that. So what I'm hoping Hassan does is explain that wouldn't be justified. Therefore, the Israeli targeting of Palestinian babies is also not justified in light of the October 7th attacks. That's what I'm hoping came after that. I don't know. Yes,
you're shaking his head like no.
Yeah,
Dude,
because
look at the Yelp professor who said settlers are not civilians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agreed. If in fact the longer clip and the full context shows Hassan say there is no excuse ever for killing babies, and I recognize that, then okay. For the sake of just this, we will be very clear in that regard. Hassan calling babies settlers while justifying Hamas killing settlers is a horrifying thing in and of itself. And I hope he's clarified later on that he does not support the killing of babies.
And I almost never say this, but I feel for Ethan over the past few weeks, the clips I've been seeing, because Ethan is, I would say, very moderate, especially for an Israeli, about the situation. He's actually donated money to help Palestinians. He acknowledges that he does not support Israeli settlements. So that's not where they're actually getting, you don't think he is?
Ethan Klein was an edgy boy on the internet who made crude jokes
way back
in the day.
No, but you don't think he's moderate on the Israel-Palestine issue?
I think that he hitched his wagon to the left because he's not a political guy. He knows nothing of politics. He's thrust into this because Donald Trump and the culture wars turned politics into pop culture. Mm-hmm. So now if you're somebody, if you look at his original YouTube channel where he did silly jokes, it was in decay. It was falling apart. He launches a podcast channel and now it's more conversations. He has Jordan Peterson on his show and they're having a great conversation. Why? It was trendy. It was the thing to do. The intellectual dark web. Then as things start splitting more seriously in the culture war, he decides he's going to go left. What does he do? He tweets, Jordan Peterson's not a good guy, so I'm going to take the episode down. The only reason Ethan Klein comes out and acts moderate on Israel is because he's desperately trying not to get canceled by the left.
So do you think he's a Zionist and hiding it?
No. But I think he's probably somewhat pro-Israel. He outright said Hamas is lying. The left believes outright Hamas propaganda and historical revisionism. His wife is Israeli, and again, I'm pretty sure she was in the IDF.
She was IDF veteran.
It's confirmed that we're for sure?
For sure, 100%.
IDF veteran. And so he's thinking like, sure, I mean, he may not be a Zionist, but he's certainly like, Israel, like he's pro-Israel.
Yeah, he's been there.
So he comes out and says, I'm going to donate to Palestinians and stuff because his entire audience is this.
But that's why I feel bad for him, because he is trying to, I mean, in this one regard, he is trying to, I guess, like be as, I don't know, building bridges as much as he can, but they're still not accepting it.
And
I feel I can't help but feel for him in that.
Let me just stress, there have been many times in the show where Ian and I have been mad at each other, and we've gone at it. I would not ever sit down next to a person who says, yeah, but babies are settlers. I'd be like, are you nuts?
Yeah.
You're not going to sit right here and tell me you think killing babies.
I'll take it up to the edge of that, but no, because like in Vietnam, 7-year-olds had grenades in baskets and they'd walk up to the American soldier and then they'd blow them up. So they had to start shooting 7-year-olds. But babies they don't move. They just lay there. You take them captive at the very least.
Lay there. They lay there and they cry. And Ethan Klein is sitting there actually having a discussion with this guy. And the fact that the show didn't stop on the spot when he said that, I would have been like, no. Tell me right now you are not saying what you are saying. Ethan's just like, well, I mean, come on. And they go back and forth a little bit. I'm sorry. I think Ethan Klein saw his waning internet presence and decided, I got to choose a side. I'm going to go with the left because that's what celebrities are doing, and that's what I guess we do, because it was not a principle-based decision nor a knowledge-based one. You take a look at when Steven Crowder wanted to have a conversation with Ethan. So what did Ethan do? Brought in Sam Cedar and totally pulled a stunt because he is not a political guy and even says it. Then why is he doing leftovers anyway? Well, congratulations, dude. You had an opportunity to sit with Jordan Peterson and have a conversation with someone who is very moderate, open, and understanding. Jordan Peterson's famous interview with, I think it was Jim Jeffries, where Jeffries says, do you think the government should mandate, that people provide service? He goes, no. And he goes, what about black people, like civil rights? And Jordan Peterson goes, maybe I was wrong about that, because he's a smart, rational guy. And Ethan Klein had that opportunity and could have gone that middle of the road route where he says, y'all are crazy, chill out. I'm going to talk to who I want to and believe what I want to believe. Instead, he told people like us, like Jordan Peterson, to F off your bigots and racist and misogynists. And he hitched his wagon to people who are calling him a Zionist pig, celebrating Hamas. I'm not saying Palestine, I'm drawing the distinction. And a dude who quite literally said, but babies are settlers. That's what Ethan Klein decided to buy into. Congratulations, buddy. This is what you reap. You reap what you sow.
My wonder is, like, Ethan, I feel like, what's up, dude? Your intelligence is probably like a 12. Like, it's not super high, or like a little bit. It's like above average intelligence, but
he's Ashkenazi.
Charismatic dude. Like, he's got charisma, but like the intellect isn't like top level genius. So I'm not drawn to like connecting with him. I like to talk with scientists, but that doesn't mean that we leave people like that behind. Like, he's so influential in society. I want to help him.
I think this is a really interesting internet frenemies moment to have, because I think it's actually probably what's going to happen when many progressive families assemble for Thanksgiving, right? That they're going to have to look at each other, and instead of it being like conservative uncle yells at, progressive
it's
nephew,
gonna be Israel versus Palestine, baby.
And it's going to be people who think they're on the same side, these generations that look apart and say like, but why are you saying this thing? And I can't, and like, I think a lot of people have this moment where saying they'll have sort of extremist rhetoric brought to them like this, like the justification of how and if and when you should potentially harm children in this conflict. Obviously, the answer is never. And have to confront these people they think they have everything in common with. I think this is a really interesting moment of reckoning. And I think because these are well-known personalities, you can see where the bifurcation is. But people are going to experience this in their real lives very soon.
Right. And I mean, just this past month alone, I've seen Ethan Klein cry on camera at least twice.
What, really?
Oh yeah.
He had to get up from the stream.
I saw that. I didn't know he was crying.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's why, and I think this is also why I feel bad for him. And I don't think he's being as calculated, or at least not to this. He actually broke down in tears talking about a video he saw of a Palestinian father clutching his dead child when he was talking to Hassan. That got me too. I mean, obviously it was terrible. And I think he is someone who is ultimately an empathetic person.
Yeah.
I don't think he's evil. And I think he is seeing the horrors of this war, but you can't deny that. Yeah, this is his bed, and he's been trying to capitalize on these people who are now turning on him, because obviously they would eventually.
It's the banality of evil.
Yeah,
it's that when he deleted that Jordan Peterson episode and then publicly condemned Jordan Peterson, I'm like,
yeah, that was the weakest.
Yeah,
that is when you see that photo of all the people doing the Roman salute to Hitler, and the one guy's angrily like, no. That's the defiance that we respect. The person who says, I am not going to just do what these people are saying. He was the guy doing the salute. He was just one of those other people who was like, I'm just going to do whatever they tell me to do because I don't want to get into a fight.
Completely reliant on his community for social cues.
Surrounded by evil people who would like, listen, if you are someone who thinks that Israel is taking it too far and they're killing too many civilians, I hear you. If you're someone who thinks Hamas went too far and they started this on October 7th, granted the fight's been going on for generations, then I hear you. If you're going to sit there and say, but babies are settlers, like, dude, you are way past that point. I have no idea. That line itself is insane. Yeah. Even if after the fact he says, all right, I get it, babies shouldn't die or whatever, but like the babies are settlers means he intended to get to that point morally.
Yeah, for real.
No, and I've been kind of blackpilled on Twitter because I've seen people kind of argue also that, well, the Palestinian babies, it's basically just a future terrorist that's being killed.
Oh, absolutely. It's nuts.
I feel just in general, the past month, I've seen the worst of humanity on social media on both sides.
The people calling the individual who said the only reason not to nuke Gaza is that the fallout would impact Israelis.
Bethany Mandel, yeah.
Insane.
Yep.
That's like derangement. That is a degree of psychotic evil. But look, always when everyone's just like Israel this, Palestine that, I'm like, I'm the United States. Like, I don't know why we're involved in that. So I'll leave it there. The point is, though, when it comes to left versus right in this country and the fight we're seeing in the breakdown of the left, dude, Ethan could have, a lot of people said, like, why did he go into this leftist camp where you can't be funny and you have to be walking on eggshells? He was always like this edgy dude who made offensive jokes. He interviewed Jordan Peterson. He used to say, you can't even say him on YouTube. He used to say several racist and homophobic slurs on his show famously.
There's a fairly long compilation clip out there of all of the slurs that he's dropped on his channel over the years.
And he decided, I better align with these people who hate my guts.
Right.
Congratulations.
Because they're paying
buddy.
him. I mean, that's the thing. He might be empathetic. He might have emotional attachments, but this is like his business now is to be saying the right thing to the right people. And I can't imagine
audience
what you're
capture.
going through. Exactly. Like there's nothing he can do to change it. And I think in some ways it would be more interesting to see a version of this where there's principle behind it, saying like, well, you know, I believe this, but you guys allowed to believe whatever, or I have these certain standards, but he compromises himself. And I don't really follow his stuff that intensely, but he repeatedly compromises what you think could be his value. And that means that ultimately he is to be bought.
Although I can't, this is the most praise I've ever given Ethan Klein. I've done several hit pieces on him in terms of videos on my channel, but I have liked that him and Hassan they did a debate on capitalism versus communism. Strangely enough, Ethan Klein was defending the capitalists. He's not a capitalist. He's more like a social democrat, but at least, you know, some market competition. That was interesting. And he and Hassan did have a sit down where they both talked about their perspective on Israel-Palestine. And I thought at least that exchange of ideas where they both clearly we're trying to remain friends through that. I thought that was useful. And especially when it comes to Israel-Palestine, it's not just the left that's having this like internal breakdown. The right is too, right? Because you do have the neocons and the more dissident anti-war populists, right? And we're having our own schism as well.
Oh yeah, Ben Shapiro calling Candace Owens disgrace.
Right.
Or saying that the things she said are disgraceful.
Right. Even though Candace has been very consistent that she wants to worry about America. And basically all she tweeted out was that governments should not engage in genocide, which if you believe that Hamas is the elected government of Palestine is also applicable to both sides.
Dude, I'm concerned with having American aircraft carriers over there. Like what I keep being told about the USS Liberty. That's something with the Israeli government.
No, you should be careful about that one.
Allegedly, the Israeli Air Force jet fighter aircraft.
I mean, they did end up paying out the American government.
So I'm concerned like false flag operation, like a missile comes out of Gaza and hits one of our aircraft carriers, but it was actually an Israeli missile. Well, I don't want, we should get out of there.
It doesn't, but let me stop you there. It doesn't matter where the missile comes from. If a missile comes out of the Middle East in any capacity and hits a U.S. target, everyone will claim it was exactly what they want it to be. Exactly. The U.S. military will say Iran did it. The pro-Palestinians will say Israel did it. The pro-Israel will say Hamas did it.
Yeah, if it comes out of a foreign country other than Israel, then it'll be like hard to deny.
Oh no! It doesn't matter where it comes from. The U.S. will say Iran did it. Right? Well,
if it comes out of Tel Aviv, it's going to be hard to sell that. But I know what you mean.
Prove it came out of Tel Aviv. How do you know? You read it in the news.
I mean, exactly.
And you are going to get American intelligence agencies going to news organizations saying, "Tell them it came out of Gaza."
I don't think the Americans want their carrier to be hit as a false flag. Maybe the USS Liberty thing was an accident.
Well,
probably.
That's the controversy over it, is that the Israeli government claims it was an accident, but Jocko Willink, I think, interviewed some survivors who say that they don't think it was an accident. So was it a false flag? That's why people talk about it.
Did America get involved in the 1967 war after that?
No, because it ended up being really short.
But we're going to go to Super Chats. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and head over to timcast.com, click join us if you'd like to hang out in the uncensored members only show coming up at 10 p.m. where you can submit questions and actually talk to us and our guest. It's going to be a lot of fun. And also the Infringed documentary is available now. You definitely need to see it and share with your friends. Of course, our first Super Chat comes from Clint Torres, who says, "Howdy, people." Clint Torres, of course. Sounds like a good nickname to me.
Howdy, Clint.
I shot for second today. Did I get it? You did not. You got first.
Even when he's trying to be second, he's still first. Wow.
No one to fold him.
Alpha Turkey says, Ian, the Canaanites were Phoenicians who, like the far left, worship Molech.
That's hot data.
Is that true?
I don't know. I'd have to reference it.
Yeah, Alex Conrad says you should invite Nerd Roddick on the Culture War. That is a very good suggestion, and we will.
Is that Gary?
Yeah.
He's spectacular.
One Evil Chef says, Darmok when the walls fell. Yeah, it's exactly how I feel. Yeah. Well, there were several other key phrases, if you guys remember them. Put them
what
in
is
the
that
chat.
in reference to?
Star Trek.
Oh.
Yep. It was a culture that could only speak in like stories
Oh.
So they would convey all of their ideas by saying a phrase from a story.
So like a society of old people.
No, I don't know. It was just, I don't know how it would actually function. But the
Society.
people are like shrugging, like, when the walls fell. When the walls, and it's like, what are you saying? And they're like, in their mind, it conveys the full idea of what they're trying to explain in the context. What do we got? Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, at great risk, I tell you this, I'm fixing a ram on your skateboard when I get an atomic elbow from the top ropes. I wake up to Ian ripping his shirt off, flexes so hot, says, you tell Tim, you leftist? I have no idea what you mean.
Was that
dude.
Raymond G. Stanley?
You tell him you the leftist.
Was he typing with his elbows?
He might have been, actually.
What the heck? No, but I will rip my shirt off, dude.
I imagine it must have been with the elbows. All right, let's grab some more super chats. The Aries Knight says, in reference to yesterday's guest, unhoused implies something was taken away. This is leftist manipulation to evoke an emotional response. I think the reason they started saying unhoused is the implication that everyone should have a house. Communism.
Yeah, because you could call them stray humans. They've strayed from the path, but that doesn't mean they were supposed to have a house.
Homeless could imply like home. What is the poem? A home is where your family is. A house is, a container or something like this. And so, when you say someone's homeless, you're saying they don't have anywhere to sleep safely. The left is trying to distinguish, or not distinguish. Well, yes, they're trying to make a distinction between. There could be someone who lives in a shack. It's their home and their family's there, but it's not a house. And so they're unhoused, which means they should have a house.
Were you guys talking about the San Francisco cleanup for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I said, why are you saying unhoused? I find it offensive as someone who's actually done work with homeless shelters and trying to help homeless people. It is offensive to call them unhoused. It's leftist nonsense.
It's also inaccurate because it assumes that if you just give them shelter, then the problem is gone, which is what they're trying to do. But you still have that basically plethora of likely problems, including addiction, maybe mental illness, that will follow them.
Mm-hmm.
I think I genuinely here's a problem that we face. When I talk to the likes of Stephen Marsh and he says that you're right or you're biased or whatever, and I'm like, no, dude, you just don't know what you're talking about. And how do I tell you that I'm actually not biased? I just am telling you the truth. And therein lies the issue. So I have my biases, of course. I'm pro 2A. However, my position on 2A is rooted in how do you have a functioning system of governance that has a constitution and constitutional guaranteed rights, and then one faction trying to vote away those rights. Like, you can't do that. It's not a question of whether I think you should have guns. It's a question of whether or not someone has the right to take them away from you. They don't. The system is here. The rules are in front of us. Play by the rules. That's not bias. That's me saying, oh, okay, maybe there could be good, effective gun laws. You can't do it because the Constitution says no. So they lie, cheat, and steal. If I'm talking with someone like Stephen Marsh, and he says there are more seditionists on the right than on the left, I said, what's your metric for this? He goes, court cases. Then I bring up the fact that where are the criminal charges from the Summer of Love riots comparable to January 6th? Where are the criminal charges from 529 in front of the White House, the firebombing of the White House? He didn't even know about it. And I'm like, so it's not an issue of me being biased. Dude, I'm not saying the right or the left has more or less. I'm saying, what's your metric? And you don't have one. This is the problem. I think when you look at people on the left who believe insane things, it's because they're genuinely ignorant but angry. And then when you look to the right, you do have that. But the tendency on the right is more mature, calm, and rational. That's just it. Plain and simple. That's why there are post-liberals who are now in line with conservatives on the issue of, say, like Trump and America First, because reality has a right-wing bias.
When I was on the left, I was obsessed with getting a lot of people to believe what I believed. That was my goal. Now I want the merits to live on their own. When I'm gone, I still want that idea to be present. I don't care.
Benevolent cult leader.
Yeah, you got to get away from the cult and build systems that let people govern themselves, because it's too easy to become a cult leader with this technology.
So the issue is, in reference to this one, Aaron said we should build houses for the unhoused and give them places to live. And I said, okay, and then who's going to maintain that house? Because many of these people, when I mentioned that probably 80% of homeless people choose to be homeless, he was shocked and didn't believe it. And I'm like, it's actually really simple arithmetic. If I walk up to a person and say, do you enjoy being homeless? They say no. I say, would you like to not be homeless? They say yes. Would you like a job? Yes. Congratulations. They were homeless for 2 days and now they're not homeless anymore. This is why when you see a homeless person, it is almost entirely likely they are choosing to be homeless. Because if they didn't want to be homeless, they would seek these nonprofits and get out of that situation. He was shocked by this.
But something that is encouraging is that you're right, and also there's a high percentage of homeless people who are only transiently homeless. Like they don't remain homeless in the United States, which is very encouraging because it is a country where you actually are able to reach that rock bottom and then build your way back up.
Right, but my point is not to be specific, not to specifically focus on homelessness. My point is the left gives you these surface level nonsensical positions and then demands them with rage, and they're like, there are more empty houses than homeless people. And I'm like, yes, but the solution to homelessness is not putting people in an empty house. They'll burn the place down. They'll destroy it. They'll get injured. These are people who are unwell and incapable of maintaining and sustaining a house. Oh, man. Libby was on the show, and I was like, this is coming from people who never owned houses before because this is a lot of work. And then Libby was mentioning like, oh, yeah, when I have a problem, I'm like, I can't call the soup anymore. Yeah, when you rent, you just call the superintendent and they come and fix your problem for you.
It reminds me of that show, Extreme Home Makeover, where they would be like, you're a family, you have some good story and we're going to demolish your house. We're going to build you this really fancy house. But often those houses were incredibly, they needed a lot of electricity. They need a lot of water. They need to be maintained. They were the most expensive house in a neighborhood that really didn't sustain that. And so it was ultimately a financial burden in a lot of cases. And I think that is sort of the position we're putting some people into, that they don't want to be a part of the system, so to speak. They don't want to pay rent or deal with any of stuff. They have their own ways of living, and forcing them into it doesn't always work.
And they've done studies about the amount of money per homeless person that places like San Francisco spend, and it's absolutely astronomical. I mean, it's like you're talking
like
about
$100,000.
Exactly. So you actually like a upper middle class salary being spent on a single homeless person who is still not living well. So like not only do they not have the solutions to it, but what they're trying to do is actively bad. And I get that from a compassionate standpoint, they don't want to see homeless people on the street suffering, but I'll again bring up that stat. Most people who are homeless do not remain homeless for the entirety of their lives. So, they're treating homelessness like a disease that someone just has and will have forever. They will never again be, able to support themselves, which is the wrong way to look at it.
Let's read this from ILO Fam. He says, Tim, if you love guns, read this. State Court Ballot Measure 114 verdict coming by 11/22 was the sole attorney versus 8 from the state. It is the strictest gun law in the country, and it's getting very little attention. State, what state?
Yeah, I was going to say what state is then.
I don't know where you are, sir. So I'm assuming Illinois maybe or something. I don't know. Yeah. We'll grab some more super chats. Where are we at? Waffle Sensei says, how often do advertisements for infringement come up daily for lefties everywhere on the internet? I have found that including Lauren Southern's name in searches forces the ABC algo to show the document first on Google. I have no idea. I don't know. We got, I think, 3 ads running right now for infringed. Is that what you meant? Advertisements for infringed?
Yeah, they were wondering about the analytics.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Tim's got people for that. He doesn't need to know about these
but
things.
like we do not have a
kidding.
massive marketing apparatus like a lot of companies where we're tracking it all. We're just like spending the ads promoting the idea of gun rights in and of itself is the victory. So we're hoping that in the end, the bottom line, it works out and the documentary gets a lot of views. So there you go. T-Rex Pet Shop says, establishment Republican voters really don't know what's happening in this country. I call them Fox News reps who only know what the establishment wants them to know. That's why they're mad at MAGA for firing Kevin McCarthy, but don't know why. Lauren, do you have pets?
I do. I have a Leon Burger whose name is Jelly Bean, and she is beautiful. Like, it's actually, when I take her out in public, it's almost a nuisance because I get stopped so often by people just in awe of. She's about 145 pounds.
Wow, those dogs are amazing.
Yeah, she's a great dog.
Jaffo on the bound says, you think our founding fathers didn't freaking come to blows on the Senate floor or dueling out back? Make dueling great again and back up the bluster. Yeah, dueling was like all the rage.
This is like
but
super vintage.
The
Andrew
idea
Jackson dueled a lot of people. I think.
The idea was that you would defend your honor, but not try to actually kill the guy. So often what duels would be is they'd say, show up, I want to duel you. And they would draw pistols and then aim away and fire. And then both their honor was intact because they both showed up to a duel, risking life, but didn't kill each other. And then I think it was Alexander Hamilton and Burr. And that's what happened.
Yep.
Burr did not care. And Hamilton was like, I will aim away. And Burr was like, I'll kill you. Yeah. Yep. Fired away. And then he got hit and he died.
There's not many stories about them fighting on the floor of the congressional.
There was the caning.
Continental Congress. What happened?
The caning between it was what was it? It was a Democrat who caned No, it was a Republican who got caned by a Democrat.
Did they hold him down and he was like caning him on the
Started
ground?
bashing him in the face with a cane and caused a traumatic brain injury.
Oh my god!
Is that what it was? It was a Democrat. No. Who was it? Was there?
Look.
Who caned?
I think it was.
War.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
typing in the search.
I think it was
It was before
a
the
union
Civil
guy
War.
got caned. It was the guy from
They
Massachusetts.
used to go to work carrying pistols and Bowie knives.
Yeah.
Sometimes use them on colleagues, it says. That's from history.com.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people in chat will it's been a while since I read about it. I think it was a guy from Massachusetts got mercilessly
It was
beaten.
Preston Brooks entered the chamber carrying the cane. I imagine he walked over to
And he was a
Senator
Republican,
Charles
right?
Sumner, the pro-slavery
Oh, no, he was a
the pro-slavery Southerner was the guy with the cane.
Right, yeah,
And he
a
went over to
Democrat.
Charles Sumner and whacked
then
him in
he-
the head with the cane.
And Sumner was Massachusetts?
It doesn't say.
Yep.
He beat him unconscious.
Abolitionist Republican from Massachusetts.
Right. Yeah, so
and then
the
he walked
Democrat
out
caned
and
the
no one
Republican.
stopped it. Everyone just stood there and watched.
And in the South, they cheered for it and said the North was lying about the seriousness of the injuries. And in the North, they were like, they caused him to have serious brain damage for a long time.
Wow. Yeah.
There were
Crazy.
more, and leading up to the Civil War, it says in the 3 decades, there were more than 70 violent incidents between congressmen.
Wow. So are you saying that we're leading up to a civil war?
Not with Bernie Sanders in charge.
That's true. He's going to break up
holding
all
down the
those
fort.
hallway fights.
Yeah.
What do we got? Zach Raymer says, love the work you guys are doing building culture and winning the culture war. I'm sending the super chat in celebration of my firstborn child, Stetson, being born.
Congratulations.
Keep up the great work you guys are doing. Congratulations. Great. Glad to hear it.
Happy birthday, Stetson.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Good job having a family. I'm pro that, as is Santa and the Hallmark Channel.
All right. OMG Puppy says, Senator McCarthy spoke at the Oxford Union. He came across as a neocon war hawk and a narcissist. Unsurprising.
His mask is off.
The Clapper of Cheek says, play the audio recording from the reporter. I don't think they actually published that. I don't know if that was out at the time. I know that she said she chased after with a microphone, but I don't know if...
Also, would you necessarily hear that? Like, if someone just comes in, like...
Right. You'd hear him saying, like, why'd you hit me?
Yeah, but that's pretty much... You wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
All right. Paul Tascalo says, 8 suspects ages 13 to 17 arrested in the Las Vegas school beating death, all being charged with murder and will be tried as adults, according to report. Interesting. I'd like to see the full details. A lot of people were talking about this story. Did you see this one?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people didn't mention that it was actually the dude who died who swung first.
Oof.
The full video shows him swinging first. It doesn't mean he was in the wrong. It doesn't mean he wasn't acting in self-defense. I don't know the full details of the story, but a lot of people were like, he got jumped by 15 people. And I'm like, okay, well, I watched the video and there's like 5 people stomping on him, 2 of which were not black. And I think there were like 3, maybe 4 that were black. And if you watch the full video, it's actually the kid who died who swings. He lunges at a guy and swings at him, and then they rush in and start beating him. So I don't know exactly what happened, or, it is what it is.
It's another reason to be afraid to send your kids to school, right?
Well, come on. Where
Yep.
else are they going to get this type of socialization?
Just at Congress, I guess.
I guess.
I'm open to charging these kids as adults. At this point, I'm like, 16 years old,
yeah,
exactly
you know
what
better.
you're doing.
100%.
Or you don't, and either way, it's a problem, and you belong behind bars. I'm like, not you, but the kid
Yeah.
would. Hypothetically
Yeah, I mean,
get
don't
it.
stomp on somebody who's on the ground.
Yeah, geez.
I'm curious though, like, I don't know enough about the case to sit here and be like, let's charge them as adults
Yeah,
with murder.
same with
and
this
a
case,
lot
I
of
don't
people
know.
are screaming to do so, and I'm just like, bro, I watched a grainy video of people stomping a guy. I don't know anything about it. If you saw, like, here's the problem I have. There could be a video of 5 guys stomping on a dude, and they're like, oh no, why are they doing that? And then someone releases a video that's got 10 seconds more, and the dude being stomped on is waving a knife around and screaming, and then throws the knife and starts punching somebody. I'm like, oh, okay, that guy's clearly crazy. Then someone posts another video of 10 seconds before, and this gang is actively opening fire on a crowd of people, and this guy runs up and starts waving the knife around saying, stop, stop. And it's like, you just don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Theoretically, that's why we have trials, right? So
Yeah.
both sides
Right.
can present evidence. Instead, we have, the media and 24-hour news cycles. It's like, we must know exactly right now based on very little information.
With Kyle Rittenhouse, we had, I think, like 5 people who were there on this show telling us, here's what we saw. And so we were like, okay, wow. With the video we've seen and your testimony and Richie McGinnis literally standing there behind him and helping the dude who got shot to the hospital, I'm like, pretty sure Kyle Rittenhouse was acting in self-defense. In this instance, all I saw was a video of some guy stomping on a guy and him swinging at somebody. And I'm like, I don't know.
Are you open to charging kids as adults now?
It just depends on the circumstances, but sure. Yeah. It just depends. Right. See, the reason why we have to, so the answer is yes, is because gangs will go to a 13-year-old kid and be like, hey, go do, take this gun and go kill that guy because you'll get out when you're 18. And then you're in the gang for life. Okay, so don't do that. No, be like, nah, you're 13, you committed a murder, we're locking you up, sorry. That's like, the idea is that the kids don't know better and you want to give them a chance. We can't, and maybe the issue is if we need to go after the dude who gave the kid the weapon and ordered it and give that person life or something.
But like if it's
I don't think prison
14-year-old
solves the
that
problem
kills a
anyway, to be
schoolmate.
honest.
Like there was that first grader in Virginia who brought a gun to school and shot his teacher in the hand and shoulder. She survived, but he's never been charged because he's too young. He's 6. They don't think that he would understand. But someone who's 17 and stomping on a classmate's different.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
This is an important one. Hans Gruber says, WTF, the world is coming to an end when Ian is against freeing the code. Well, I'm telling you, Ian started working out and everything's changing.
I'm an incrementalist. I would love to free the software code, but I'm also a realist. One step at a time. We go for TikTok, bite dance.
Gandalf the Base says, fist fight reminds me of the caning of Charles Sumner in 1856. Happened just before the Civil War due to the tensions leading to the war. Say it, Tim, you know you want to. I don't think that Kevin McCarthy elbowing a guy in the back is comparable to a dude being mercilessly beaten on the Senate floor. So,
But we're a lower testosterone society now. So
Yeah.
maybe we have to
right?
adjust.
Maybe we're working up to it.
Yeah. It's like inflation. You have to account for it somehow.
Exactly.
Amanda says Ben Franklin actually wanted Britain and America to stay together until Parliament humiliated him when he represented Massachusetts after the Boston Tea Party. Then he was all on board for separation.
I think that he was playing them personally. I think that his intention was revolution the entire time, but you might be right.
What have we here? Jesus Crisp. To be fair, roofs are like giant wheelchair ramps. My paraplegic buddy just laughed at those Santas.
But does he feel represented?
Does he
This is
feel
good
like
time?
now he can be Santa?
Yeah. I like Tim's idea that he got into like some sort of cool skateboarding accidents, just taking a year off. Everyone needs a chance to recover. If it's just,
Go to
I
Mexico,
don't know.
get the stem cells.
Sure, anything.
PRP.
Stormblood20 says, waiting on a parody of Santa versus Putin, where Russians go too far north and run into Santa's North Pole. I mean, that's basically like Violent Nights. Did you guys see that one?
No.
Actually, it's a really good movie.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's Santa is delivering presents at the same time. A group is trying to rob this wealthy family.
Oh, I have seen this movie.
Yeah, and he uses his bag to like fight. It's actually really funny.
If they got a good martial artist to play Santa, that would be so
No, it was
awesome.
what's his face? The guy from Stranger Things.
The like sheriff guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
whatever his name is.
And he's married to Lily Allen.
Yes, that
Yeah.
guy.
David Harbour.
David Harbour, that's right. Violent Nights was hilarious. It was good. John Leguizamo's in it. That guy's kind of insufferable, but he does a good job in the film, so credit where it's due.
Beverly D'Angelo, she's great.
I recommend Violent Nights. It's funny. Yeah, it's like, I guess they're claiming that Saint Nick was this brutish Nordic barbarian who was mercilessly raping and pillaging
Tell you,
until he became Santa.
Every culture has their own Santa, and doesn't that make you proud of yours if that's your culture?
Yeah.
You know.
I forget what kids movie it was, but it was like some kids movie where all the like Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny were all like real, and their version of Santa was just like this hardcore Russian. Like Russian Santa. I liked Russian Santa.
Yeah, okay.
Russian Santa.
This is the thing. We have to have Santa that represents your culture's
Yeah,
values.
exactly.
What have we here? Jeremy Wien says Santa got mugged by Captain Marvel. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of her arc. She mugged a dude. That was in the first movie. I'm like, this is it. Everybody knows, but I just got to say it. Captain America was a dude who was weak and sickly and desperately wanted to get into the military to serve his country. And Captain Marvel was a woman who had the power the whole time, but a man was holding her down.
Yeah.
For real. And then Jude Law keeps telling her to control her emotions. I'm like, oh my God, this is a little too on the nose.
Well, for most female superheroes, that is what it is, or female characters in general. It's not like they need to grow. What their growth is realizing that they were great the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They lack the self-esteem to recognize it. That's a line
Exactly.
from Gilmore Girls.
I just watched this movie. I don't know if anyone knows what it's called, where two women go on vacation to Australia, into this rural town, and they get a job at a pub. And I thought it was a horror movie. It's a horror movie in the sense that these women are the villains the whole time. Basically what happens is it's a rowdy pub. Then like one of the girls is drinking and wants to hang out with this guy who's not really that good of a dude and was causing fights. So then the main character gets an axe and slashes his tires. And then it ends with them just burning down this pub. And I'm like, what is this movie? Like, who is this movie made for? I don't understand. But there's a scene where the two women are like crying with each other about the bar being rowdy or something. And I was like, you'll never see a movie where it's guys in this circumstance. They would not make a movie where it's guys scared and angry at a bar. The guys would always be aggressive and confrontational.
It's kind of like Office Space is the closest thing to it.
I was going to say,
It wasn't
what
at a
about
bar.
Coyote Ugly? That's like a super rowdy bar that a bunch of women deal with. We already made this movie.
But this is a very different movie.
But that's what I mean. Like,
it's supposed to be like a horror. Like there's a point where the guys break into the bar and I'm like, oh, wow. But then it's just some guys were trying to like invite the woman to the sunset. And I'm like, okay, what's going on?
So the women are the bad guys the whole time.
It's supposed to be the good guys. But if you watch it, like any rational person is like, yo, these women are nuts.
They're like anti-heroes.
No, they're not anti-heroes. I was
villains.
like, I really thought it was going to turn out the woman was going to take an axe and just go murder everybody. And that was like, oh, that'd be really cool. Like it turns out the character you thought was the scared victim turns out to be the killer. No, the movie just ends. They burn the bar down and leave. And it's like, why? What?
Oh, it sounds awful.
It's just a really bad movie.
I think they need to remake Captain Marvel as the guy who originally he was, Walter Lawson. I didn't ever read Marvel comics, but Marvel was his alien name, and he came in. On Earth, he was known as Walter Larson. Walter Lawson. This whole retconning and giving it to a woman all for no reason before they even had an opportunity to portray him as he was written makes no sense. I think it's part of the hatred of that franchise. So bring back Marvel.
Well, it's funny because like in the first movie, Captain Marvel is not a sympathetic character at all. She like mugs the guy, but in the second also, she's like called the Annihilator. Like the Kree blame her for the I did a hate review of it. It's bad, but she like she's the Kree. I mean, spoilers. They call her the Annihilator because she basically destroys their entire society and planet by killing their AI leader. And it's like, do you want us to like Captain Marvel? Because how you are writing her, she is not very likable.
You know what I think it is? Woke leftists are evil, and they're writing what they think is their power fantasy. So for the average person, Captain America is like a male power fantasy of, I'm going to jump on the grenade. That's going to be me. If I was ever tested, I would prove that I'm not a coward. And what these people are doing is their perspective of the strong female power fantasy is, he told me to smile, I'm going to beat and rob him. It's like, well, you're the villain, so about that.
Just seems like such an overreaction. Like he tells you to smile, and so you beat him up. Calm down, team.
Yeah, because he needs to be punished for sexism.
We'll get one more super chat in here. B says, Bernie is right. Senators don't fight. Instead, they send your sons and daughters to fight in foreign wars that enrich themselves. Solution. O'Brien and Mullins should nominate some random family's children to fight in their stead, as per the traditions of Congress.
Or, to be honorable, send their own children to fight.
Bernie should have been, stop it. Take it to Israel.
No, it would have been funny if it was like,
you're a United States Senator. Get someone else's kids to fight for you.
All right, everybody, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member, because the uncensored members only show is about to begin in a couple minutes, and it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about women and dating and stuff, and it's going to be really entertaining. So not so family friendly, but we hope to see you there. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Lauren, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me basically everywhere at the Lauren Chen. And again, blazetv.com with the code Lauren Plus if you want to check out our documentary, What Really Happened in Maui. We were on the ground investigating, looking at all of the incompetence that basically led up to that tragedy, as well as the aftermath, because, I mean, it's still going on. Like the story hasn't ended. It's just the media has stopped caring about it. So yeah, again, blazetv.com with the code Lauren Plus. As also soaps, etsy.com/shop/clearlypure, CLEARLYPUR, if you want some Christmas presents for the fam.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see your documentary. That's a good project because you have to get beyond that huge fence they erected. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for Timcast.com. You should go to all of your social medias and follow at Timcast News. You see work from me, all the other journalists. I'm really grateful to be a part of this team. If you want to follow me personally, I'm on Instagram at hannahclaire.b, and I'm on X at HCBrimlow. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lauren, for bringing me the soap. I will vouch for its excellence. And the peppermint coffee actually has a coffee bean in it.
It does. It has real coffee in the scrub.
Dude, I'm going to rub it on my face. The Mountain Fresh. So get it some for yourself at etsy.com/shop/clearlypure. And that's CLEAR. You know how to spell clearly pure. It's PUR.
Yeah, that's the part
Clearly
that I should be
pure
spelling for
on
people.
Etsy. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Always a blast.
Hi, Serge.
And I am Serge.com. I will be in the comments today to argue with you guys because some people want to argue about my hair being too long, which is super weird. Just like, live your own life. But whatever. Let's get to the after show.
They're talking about your hair as an African-American man.
That's right. We'll see you all over at timcast.com in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out.